you have the mic again. You've claimed there's civil unrest. Give us your argument, and then we'll talk about it.
We all know that these kinds of anarchist groups don't have, formal charters. They don't have, they're not as organized. For example, this is just retarded. Destiny is literally retarded. Destiny is a cuck. He has been cucked so many times. His wife divorced him because he's a cuck, and he is a terrible father. And his own son attests to the fact that Destiny is one of the worst fathers of
Go
all
back
time.
to the unnamed.
So it's just
go back to
embarrassing.
the unnamed mystery groups. Go ahead. No, tell us, Drew. Tell us, Drew. Unnamed mystery groups. Quick, China's coming to take you again, Drew, for the 50th time. China's coming to abduct you. Give us more of the unnamed groups, Drew. Go.
This is completely retarded. I was actually going to avoid personal attacks against Destiny, but he actually put a sign behind
until
it.
Until I played soundboards, and then you were like,
Destiny actually put up a sign behind it that said Drew Pavlo should hang himself. So obviously this isn't a good faith debate. This is just retarded.
Wait, what?
And yeah, Destiny's just retarded.
Shit. Somebody donated that. Sorry, that is pretty funny though, and you should.
Welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of Wick TV. It's a cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, and silly and serious. And today, we are going to be discussing the Insurrection Act. In the wake of the Renee Good shooting, protests have exploded across Minnesota, with allegations of misconduct and brutality made against ICE agents across the state. However, many claim that it is the protesters, as well as Democratic rhetoric, calling ICE Gestapo and Nazi, that have escalated tensions, with many more angry at Don Lemon and other protesters for disrupting a church meeting where a pastor who was an alleged ICE official was apparently hosting service. President Trump, while recently backing off a bit from this, has floated the idea of invoking the Insurrection Act in Minnesota to take control of the situation. And tonight, we're going to ask the question, should President Trump invoke the Insurrection Act in Minnesota? Why or why not? We're going to talk about it. We got some great guests to do so. We're going to start with Hunter Ash. Give us your thoughts. Tell us who you are, why we should listen to you, and what your thoughts are on the situation at hand.
Sure. I mean, so I'll let people decide if they should listen to me based on what I say. But so I support the ICE operations that are happening in Minneapolis and Minnesota more broadly. The American people voted for mass deportations. This has been Trump's flagship issue since 2015. He won the popular vote. He won both houses of Congress. They voted to give ICE additional funding. It's pretty clear that this is what people voted for. And, localities, municipalities, or individual protesters do not have a veto over this, right? This is not part of our system. Just because if you don't want these things to happen, the thing to do is vote, and you lost those elections. So those operations need to be carried out. And the strategy from the left right now is obviously just to create enough chaos, enough procedural hurdles such that this can't happen, right? Such that it creates this fundamental asymmetry where Biden actively welcomed in an unprecedented number of people, and then they are going to try to make it impossible to reverse this by impeding ICE agents, by trying to walk right up to the line of what they think they're allowed to do, or what might seem reasonable in a viral freeze frame picture or something, and then they will take the worst looking pictures of the reaction and blast that everywhere to try to again make it functionally impossible to reverse the Biden wave. And it seems like the only response that would be morally acceptable to my opponents is just to let this work, right? Is like, okay, no, you're just not allowed to deport these people. We're going to make sure that either it requires a level of procedure that would just make this, right? That would make 10,000 over his entire 4-year term or something. That, these protesters will actively interfere in ongoing ICE operations in a way that is just guaranteed to create, viral footage that we've seen. And the reason why we need to invoke the Insurrection Act is because officials are clearly have some right to veto federal policy, to national immigration set, right? The mayors and governors of cities do not get to. They're trying everything in their power to do so. And I think that for the safety of everybody involved, these, in my view, misguided protesters of the immigrants who need to be deported and deported peacefully have better outcomes if this can be enforced in an orderly fashion. I do think that President Trump needs to invoke the Insurrection Act. I think that I'm sure that all of these local officials will hedge their language. You know, they've gotten very good at this, right? They'll make sure that they say things that don't quite seem to warrant this kind of response, but they are clearly in practice doing everything in their power to impede the enforcement of federal law, and that is not acceptable.
Okay, we'll get to it as we go. Once Drew gets back, we'll see if he can actually hear us and see us and all that. But in the meantime, we are joined by Nicholas Decker. Tell people who you are, what you do, and your thoughts on the situation at hand. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. My name is Nicholas Decker. I write about economics on the internet. I'm a research assistant at the moment and applying for grad school next year. I think the case for invoking the Insurrection Act is very stupid, and it makes the people who argue for it by proxy very stupid. So I disagree on the merits of whether or not we should have more or less immigration, but the jump to there is an insurrection going on is just so obviously specious that it's frankly boring to argue against, and I don't really care about it. Generally speaking, I think that we should have more immigration. I think that there are aggregate increasing returns to the number of people. And admittedly, the macro evidence on this is unsettled. But I think it strains credulity to come up with any production function involving easily replicable ideas and not think that there are increasing returns in a modern economy. So that's pretty much all.
Okay, we'll get into it as we go. Thanks for being here. Drew, can you hear us? Can you see us? All that good shit?
Yeah. Listen, can you hear my audio? Is everything okay?
Yep, everything's great. What are your thoughts on the thing? Tell people who you are, why we should listen to you, and what are your thoughts? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Drew Pavlou. I am an Australian. Just came back from America. Beautiful trip. In general, across the Western world, I support, immigration restriction. I think that we should conserve national culture. And what I oppose is essentially efforts by even mainstream Democrats, center-left Democrats, to essentially abolish all border control and basically make it impossible to deport anybody who is illegally in the country. And the American people voted at the last election, a majority voted to have deportations of people who had illegally entered the country under Biden. Up to 10 million people, I believe, entered into the country under Biden. This was a massive wave of people, and it was a major reason why Trump won. And this is why I believe that democratically, the will of the people needs to be democratically followed, and the amount of violence that's been used against just routine immigration enforcement in America by leftists is quite appalling. Frankly, there was obviously the terrorist attack about 6 months ago, where they were trying to kill ICE agents. There was a sniper on a roof. I believe he actually ended up killing illegal immigrants himself.
It was a tragedy.
Yeah, horrific incident. And I mean, do you agree, Nicholas, that it's a tragedy that they killed anybody?
We'll get into the crosstalk in a minute, man. Right? Just finish your main point, and we let Destiny speak, and then we'll open it up. No, it's all good.
Yep. So essentially, what I'm supporting is just routine immigration enforcement, and I oppose efforts by the centre left to impede the ability of federal agents to just lawfully carry out their duties. And we have seen projectiles thrown at immigration enforcement authorities. We've seen attacks on churches. We've seen a massive amount of violence and threats directed against immigration enforcement authorities and efforts to try and stop them from carrying out their duties. And the American people voted for this. And I simply say that the will of the people should be heard democratically, and people who are in the country illegally need to be deported. And I wonder whether anybody on this panel representing the left-wing position even agrees in principle that people illegally in the country should be deported.
Well, we'll get to it as we go. Destiny, what are your thoughts? And then we'll open it up and get to the crosstalk and all these things. Go ahead, Destiny.
Yeah, I actually don't really care about the substance of the conversation at all. I think that, unfortunately, regardless of what your position is, the fact that Kristi Noem and Donald Trump can't seem to speak honestly about anything happening on the ground, the fact that both of them found it necessary to lie about the situation involving the killing of the one driver lady in Minnesota means that they've kind of completely and totally ceded all grounds to do any kind of insurrection act or any kind of mass enforcement. I think that when your federal government is lying to you and lying about things that all of us can see on video, there's absolutely no reason why we should trust them to deploy any type of National Guard or to invoke any kind of insurrection act, because who's to say that they won't lie about other stuff relating to details of it in the future. So I think that they just completely lost the ground on that. They should probably just get the fuck out of Minnesota, respect states' rights, and then go back to trying to govern like a real president. I hear this thrown around a lot. I've heard it thrown around on this panel. I don't know what the level of government understanding is, but in the United States of America, just because you win an election doesn't give you carte blanche to do literally whatever you want for the rest of your 4 years. There's a reason why ICE is historically hated more now than they have been in all of U.S. history. I think 42% of Americans support the abolition of ICE right now, so it's obviously not going in the direction they want it to. Yeah.
Okay, we will open it up, and you guys can ask each other questions, have talks. If I have questions, I'll jump in, but otherwise, floor is open. Go ahead.
Can we, real quick, we all acknowledge that Kristi Noem and Donald Trump lied about the conditions relating to the slain Minnesota driver?
No,
Yes.
absolutely we cannot. Like,
we cannot agree on that.
We've all seen the video, right? And everybody walks away from the video absolutely
Okay, wait.
convinced
First
that it vindicates
thing.
their pre-existing position.
Was the
So
was the
I don't
ICE
really
driver
think
was the
that's
ICE driver stuck in ice? Was his
sorry?
car trapped in a snowbank?
I don't know.
Okay, can we wait and bring up the video and then go and watch it? There's less than 10 minutes of video for this. This is probably going to be one of the most important things to finding the
complete waste of time.
No. What's a waste of time is having an argument about whether or not we should invoke the Insurrection Act. You haven't bothered to watch the 5 to 10 minutes of footage available on this. I don't even know why you're here right now. You should mute for 10 minutes. You should just go watch all the available footage. It's going to take you less than 10 minutes to watch it, and then come back when you can have a fully formed opinion on like the inciting moment that would be why the Insurrection Act. It is a typical, yes, leftist liberals like to derail with facts all the time. I know it's really agonizing, but yeah, unfortunately the facts are kind of important.
All of you, please. Like, I understand that it's going to be a passionate panel. I get it. But we can't just talk over each other, so we got to go one at a time. Renee, I'm sorry, not Renee. Hunter.
It sounded like two people on drum solos at the same time.
Hunter, if you want to give us your response to that, do you want me to bring up the footage, or should we just skip that part? What do you think, Renee?
And if you want to, I don't think it's particularly relevant to the substance of any debate. Like, I don't think anyone's position on anything that's happened would change based on whether or not the car was caught in a snowbank. Right?
True.
The issue
Conservative positions are never fact reliant. That is absolutely true. I do agree with that.
The issue, I don't think anybody is, right? I think the issue is that, like, the question with regard to the Renee Good situation was whether it's a good shoot. We can argue about that forever, but frankly,
that wasn't the question that I posed at all.
Their own mind.
What I'm a bit confused about is it seems that Destiny's basically arguing that if the ICE agent was unjustified in shooting.
Nope, that's
Renee,
not what I argued. I didn't argue that at all.
But
Do we have? I know you have an Australian accent. Can you speak English? Hello?
I mean, you're talking about the Renee Good shooting as the.
No, I'm saying that Kristi Noem and Donald Trump made egregious lies about what led up to that and what happened with that shooting. Whether you think it was a good shoot or a bad shoot, they demonstrably lied about the facts leading up to that. That would be the inciting moment for any type of Insurrection Act thing, right? Because all the protests and everything have kind of been based off of that. Her being shot, whether you think it was good or not, and the fact that they lied so much and so egregiously about that means that they lose any right to invoke any kind of insurrection, because we would have no trust in them as the American public to actually wield that power in a responsible manner.
No. But this is the core question is there an insurrection in Minnesota? And you're seemingly arguing that if the shooting.
Sorry, I don't know where that came from. My bad. I was just coming through. My bad. Go ahead. Yeah, every time he talks, it just happens sometimes. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. The core question is there a state of insurrection in the state of Minnesota? You're almost arguing that if the shooting of Renee Good was unjustified, then potentially
No, that's not what I said.
The resultant unrest would be justified.
No, that's not what I said.
So maybe this will help. Destiny, you claim that Kristi Noem and Donald Trump have lied about the shooting, and therefore we can't. It doesn't matter what they say; they've lied to the American public, so they cede ground. Can you give us an example of a lie that maybe we could talk about, and maybe we can go forward from there?
Yeah, the way that they both characterize it, we can find the exact words if you want. Pretty sure it's still up on Trump's Truth Social. Kristi might have made a tweet. I know she's made multiple statements about it. Their claims were that Renee tried to viciously run over the guy with her car, that the ICE vehicle was stuck, and that multiple ICE agents were trying to get it out of the like an ice bank or a snow bank or whatever when she was trying to run them over. There was one other statement, but they lied. They completely mischaracterized. I wouldn't even say mischaracterized. They just told factual lies that anybody that's seen the footage knows that these are just total lies, regardless of whether it was a good or a bad shoot. Even if you think it was a good shoot, they lied about all of the circumstances surrounding the event. And they continue to lie about paid protesters. They haven't shown any evidence or proof of that, and that's a lie they've also carried on for a decade. So all of these things, they've lied so much about that inciting moment. Why would I allow them to use that moment and the ensuing riots to invoke the Insurrection Act? That's crazy.
What riot?
Well, the core question is there a state of insurrection in the state of Minnesota? Would you agree there is, or would
No,
you
I don't
agree
care.
there isn't?
If conservatives came to agree on fact here, they don't have the right to participate in this conversation.
That doesn't make sense. The core question is there civil unrest in the state of Minnesota?
That's a much more complicated question than the very simple facts relating to Renee's shooting. And if you can't even understand the simple facts, you don't deserve to be in a conversation about invoking the Insurrection Act.
I want to hear from Nicholas Decker. He's been trying to get in. Go ahead, sir.
I just wanted to carve out the position that there is no state of insurrection in Minnesota, and this is kind of laughable. And the last time the Insurrection Act was invoked with the Rodney King riots, I don't think that this is anywhere comparable to the Rodney King riots. Like it's not even comparable to 2020. So I think it's absurd on its face. I just wanted to put that on the record, I guess. Carry on.
That's fine. I guess well, let's start with there. And I want to ask Hunter and I want to ask Drew. Like, we can get to the question of the insurrection in a minute, but I am just curious. Do you think that DHS has lied about the Renee Good shooting?
No.
Is she a domestic terrorist?
I haven't. That's obviously a matter of opinion. Like, that's not a falsifiable.
It's a matter of opinion. If the president of the United States says that she's a domestic terrorist.
Yes, that's obviously like a characterization. It's an extreme characterization, but it's like what would falsify that? Like or prove it right? Like
enough with the audio things. Okay.
It's like if you said that somebody's lying because like they said someone's like a really, really evil bad person when they're only a moderately bad person. Like that's not. There's no way to adjudicate that.
Okay, Nicholas.
I would like
to go ahead, Nicholas.
I would like to offer the counter position that Hunter Ashe is a pedophile. That this is not, in fact, a matter of opinion, but attested to by their own statements, and that I think if somebody made the characterization that somebody was a pedophile or a domestic terrorist or any other sort of insult like that, making it, if it were totally groundless, would in fact be lying about them. Now, it isn't lying in this case, but although I do feel bad about holding that against you because it's not something anyone can control. So I kind of, I apologize for dirty tricks, but yeah.
What?
Okay, well that's ridiculously false.
Yeah.
But I think I would much rather have the conversation, Decker, that you wanted to have at the beginning, which is a substantive conversation on immigration, because I think if we're just endlessly haggling about like the minute details of what exactly one video shows or another, we're not addressing anything that could actually change anyone's deep substantive position, right?
Wait, I agree with that. Do you agree?
No, people's views on ICE operations in Minnesota are entirely predictable based on their views about immigration in general.
I think that's true. Hold on. So wait, just curious. Do you agree that 30 million...
Let Hunter finish.
Yeah, Houston, do you think 30 million people came in illegally under Biden, like Trump has said over and over again?
We probably don't know exactly how many people came in illegally.
Oh, so it could be a billion people. You think it could be a billion people? You think it could be a billion people? Could it be? I mean, do you think it could be a billion people?
Obviously, we can put ranges around it that are.
Do you think it could be 500 million people?
No, there's
could
a
it
probability
be 50 million people?
No, that's probably unlikely.
Okay, 30 million though?
More likely.
More likely. Okay.
That's very silly.
That's two times.
Very silly.
Yeah, that's almost 3 times the amount of total illegal immigrants that were in the United States prior to Biden there. So Donald Trump says 30 million. Does it bother you that he's given no proof of that number? You're saying it's on a distribution. Donald Trump doesn't say it's on a distribution. He doesn't say this is the upper end of a normal distribution, that this is a...
Yeah, obviously he's a politician, and like if they spoke like that, almost nobody would understand.
Sure, I rest my case saying he shouldn't invoke the Insurrection Act. He's a politician. He's going to lie about everything then. I can't trust him, so no Insurrection Act. That's my position.
Strictly speaking, a normal distribution is unbounded in any direction. So a billion would also be equally true under this standard. And in fact, any number would be equally true.
Well, not equally.
So very silly.
It's weighted by the likelihood of it having happened.
So you're saying that he 90% lied. He mostly lied. It's not a 100% lie. It's just a
He's
very
giving a
close
relatively
to a
exaggerated,
100%
improbable figure. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay. Relatively inaccurate, improbable figures that are much higher than what actually happened to the best of our knowledge.
But also, we don't know
This is
exactly.
not a lie.
Like, how could we possibly know how many illegal immigrants are actually in the country with any degree of reliability? Like,
This is the guy
how
that
would
I'm
we know
supposed to trust to use the Insurrection Act, right? And to trust to deploy troops and federal agents against U.S. citizens? This is a guy who lies as a politician?
You keep on using ancillary points. The core question is there civil unrest in the state of Minnesota right now? There is.
We can't even agree on what happened with the shooting. We can't agree on how many illegal immigrants came to the United States. How can we agree on a state of insurrection? Do you see the problem?
The shooting isn't even the core thing here. The core thing is there civil unrest in the state of Minnesota? And yes, there is civil unrest. There are people who are violently attacking ICE.
How can I trust? I don't know if I can trust that because apparently Renee Goodman was a paid agitator terrorist. So how do I know that there are people assaulting ICE officers?
The Renee Good thing is completely ancillary to the point. Is there a state of civil unrest in the state of Minnesota right now? Yes, there is.
How do you know? How do you know? How do you know there are attacks on ICE? How do you know there are attacks on ICE agents?
Because there are videos of this everywhere. It's very easy to see.
So? Wait, I don't know. I don't know who those people are. They could be deepfake AI. Maybe he's just a politician exaggerating.
Drew. Send me a clip of one of the videos and we'll watch it on screen.
And you have to prove that it's not a deepfake AI as well, also. And I'm going to need the birth certificate of the guy, and it's got to be better than Obama's because we didn't trust that one either. Remember, go for it.
That's retarded. This is retarded.
It is. I agree. It is retarded. Thank you. Yes, I agree, King.
No, it's retarded to bring up birth certificates or whatever. There's literal footage of.
There was footage of Renee Goodman as well, but we can't agree on that either. So
there's photographs. There's photographs of Will Stancil, the famous Twitter guy, just chasing after ICE agents in his car.
Yeah, there's photographs there were photographs of documents that were classified strewn across the floor of Mar-a-Lago, but we don't believe in that either. So why should I believe in any of these photographs?
Okay, can I back up to estimating the illegal immigrants?
Here's the thing.
Drew, go ahead. Keep going.
They are trying to use completely ancillary points to just bog down the debate, bog down the whole thing. They can't.
Isn't that frustrating when people can't agree on reality, and so you can't actually have a conversation about literally anything? That's gotta suck, huh?
The whole question is, oh wow, Trump lied
about everything. 6 months ago? Trump lied 6 seconds ago. If Trump is breathing, he's lying.
Oh wow, Trump has exaggerated statements in the past. Therefore, a state of civil unrest in the state of Minnesota is justified. That's your argument. It's retarded.
If Renee Good being a terrorist is your opinion, man, then a state of civil unrest, that's just your opinion, man.
We haven't even said Renee Good is a terrorist. We haven't said anything like that.
No, but Donald Trump did, and he's the one who's going to have to make the evaluation for whether or not he should invoke the Insurrection Act.
There is there's demonstrated evidence of far left groups going around harassing ICE agents in the state of Minnesota right now, and you can't defend that.
Which far left group? Which far left group?
You know as well as I do that
which far left group? Name one. Name one.
There are amorphous groups. We all know that, Destiny.
Name one. What group? No.
Wow. So it needs to have.
Oh my God! They didn't have a name. Yeah, a group usually has a name. Usually they do. Wait. Can you think of a group that doesn't have a name?
Sorry, this is obviously retarded. I mean,
I agree.
Yes,
we agree.
We all know. Hang on.
Drew,
we all know.
Give me a minute.
Hang on.
Give me a minute. Drew, give me a minute.
Let me finish my point.
Wait a second, but you gotta let me do some housekeeping here.
Wick, I was cut off, and I just want to quickly say.
I know you were cut off. I'm going to give you the mic as soon as I say this. I'm going to give you the mic back as soon as I say this.
Sure.
I'm just reminding everyone, if we're going to yell over each other, if we're going to talk over each other constantly, no one can hear anything. But we do got to kind of try to get order in this court, and we do got to want to go and answer each other's questions when they are asked. So, Drew, you have the mic again. You've claimed there's civil unrest. Give us your argument, and then we'll talk about it.
We all know that these kinds of anarchist groups don't have, formal charters. They don't have, they're not as organized. For example, Oh, this is just retarded. Destiny is literally retarded. Destiny is a cuck. He has been cucked so many times. His wife divorced him because he's a cuck. And he is a terrible father. And his own son attests to the fact that Destiny is one of the worst fathers of
Go
all
back
time.
to the unnamed.
So it's just
go back to
embarrassing.
the unnamed mystery groups. Go ahead. No, tell us, Drew.
Tell us, Drew.
The unnamed mystery groups. Quick, China's coming to take you again, Drew, for the 50th time. China's coming to abduct you. Give us more of the unnamed groups, Drew. Go.
This is completely retarded. I was actually going to avoid personal attacks against Destiny, but he actually put a sign behind
until
him.
I played soundboards, and then you were like,
Destiny actually put up a sign behind it that said Drew Pavlou should hang himself. So obviously this isn't a good faith debate. This is just retarded.
Wait, what?
And yeah, Destiny's just retarded.
Shit. Somebody donated that. Sorry, that is pretty funny though, and you should.
Come on. Okay. Come on.
Can I back up to how do we count the illegal immigrants? Because the thing is if you had 30 million illegal immigrants come, right, and they aren't registered in like your regular population figures, they are going to show up in either the economic output figures or they're going to show up in welfare or something, right? So you can that's how they make estimates. Right.
Destiny.
It's going to be implied.
Destiny. Definitely.
Let Nicholas finish.
Okay.
Let Nicholas finish.
Okay. And so this is something of a conspicuous omission. I have not seen anything, remotely alleging that many immigrants. I tend to believe the estimates of how many legal immigrants there are out there, and that's why I'm inclined to think that not only is there aren't 30 million illegal immigrants here right now. There's certainly not 30 million that came in a 4-year period. It would have shown up in economic outcomes, and it hasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to accept that. So what's the most accurate figure you've seen?
It's around 10 million.
Okay.
And it varies, but because people cross back and forth, there's considerable especially in the agricultural sector, but people come here, they work a few years, they go back home because this is higher paying, but you're away from family or whatnot, and you go back home.
So significant error bars, but centered around
I would not say there are significant error bars, and I really have to push back against.
Okay. Yeah. So you think the estimates are pretty good?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to flag, I doubt this is how things are actually going to go, mainly because I don't think Destiny will let them go that way. But I agree with Decker that the more interesting way we could spend this time is having the substantive debate about the merits of immigration. But whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, just to be clear, for my point to be clear, right? This is not an adult conversation when conservatives aren't capable of engaging in reality.
You're the one who...
I'm sorry, why is he interrupting me?
Destiny.
Why is he interrupting me?
Destiny went in here with a sign that said, hang Drew Pavlou.
Why is he... I can't work, I just want to talk.
Let Destiny go for a little bit, and then you can respond.
Destiny, does it make you feel sad that your ex-wife fucked another man? And does it make you feel bad that
bullying me? Wick, I can't.
Your ex-wife literally fucked other men. That's pretty sad.
I can't.
Drew,
Wick.
I'm gonna
He's going really hard on me. He's going really hard. Can you save me?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay.
Destiny.
So conservatives have lost the right to have a serious conversation about anything related to immigration when they lie about almost every single subject that is related to this topic. It is deeply unserious to me that a conservative would throw a fit when you're trying to discuss anything and they just lie about anything related to the topic. So if you're going to say 30 million people came in illegally, right? 30 million people coming in illegally.
He didn't say that. He never said that.
Donald Trump said that.
Okay, that's not what Hamish said. That you're debating us right now, not Donald Trump.
I'm talking about the United States of America, okay? The country that you prayed every day that you were from, okay? And I know you're mad that you have to be in your fucking shithole Australia, so I'm talking about the United States. And in the United States of America right now, Donald Trump is the president.
You're debating us,
so what I'm saying is...
You're not debating Donald Trump.
That's fine. I don't care. Whether I'm debating Donald Trump or his cum socks, I'm having a conversation about U.S. policy right now, and Donald Trump is the president, okay? So for Donald Trump and the conservatives to lie about every single topic peripheral to immigration, and then to try to come to the table and say, well, now we need to have a serious fact-based discussion related to whether or not we can invoke the Insurrection Act. There's no reason to trust this administration to responsibly wield any kind of power like that, irrespective of the fact that they've already lost on multiple court cases with their forcible deployment of the National Guard to other states, with the deployment of the Marines to California, with their inability to accept any of the states' autonomies with how they want to do any of their local policing. Why would I trust this administration? The lies are just one part of it. Why would I trust this administration when they can't engage with the fact of the matter, or literally anything, to responsibly wield any kind of federal deployment related to the Insurrection Act? It's nonsense to me. That's not a serious conversation.
And to translate that a little bit, and this is to Hunter and to Drew. How can the public trust this administration to wield their power?
And let me wait, and then they can both answer. But just to add to that, so it seemed like a joke earlier when I was asking what groups. Donald Trump and the rest of the conservatives have said for a decade that there are mass paid agitators and paid protesters, and they claim that Renee Good was part of one of these paid groups. If these groups are fictitious and they don't even exist, and if Donald Trump has taken the exceptional step to use an executive order for the first time that I'm aware of in U.S. history to label a domestic group a terrorist organization, Antifa or whatever, why would I trust him to send in any kind of insurrection-acted authorities to go after who? I don't know who he's going to go after. The Democratic Party, liberals in general, or who? Yeah.
You gotta let him answer. Yeah, go for it.
Okay,
we're gonna give it to Hunter,
Okay,
then we're gonna give it to Drew, and then we'll see what they have to say. Go ahead, Hunter.
Yeah, so on the groups issue, this is from Reuters. This is with respect to Renee Good. Good was active as a volunteer in a network of neighborhood patrols comprising hundreds of community members and organized by local activists to track, monitor, and record ICE operations in Minneapolis. According to Michelle Gross, president of the Minnesota-based Community United Against Police Brutality, and she was a paralegal for the National Lawyers Guild, which is effectively a leftist activist organization. You can think it's a legitimate one, but it is one. So yes, there absolutely are groups, and like her job was to work for one of these, so she was paid. One of the organizers
these were terrorist groups?
Organizers of the church storming, right? That happened.
Don't go to the church storming. Just focus on just Renee.
A paid member of an activist nonprofit. So yes, absolutely, these people are being paid as members of these NGOs, and these are organizing the anti-ICE activities that are interfering with federal law enforcement very intentionally. So yes, I mean, if you want to, you can argue about whether the term terrorist is appropriate for an organized group of people who do have paid members who disrupt federal law enforcement, but the substance is there. Yeah, absolutely.
So the claim is that they are being... sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to submit that I think to be a terrorist, one should have to commit terrorism, which generally involves, terrorism.
So what's your definition of terrorism?
Some kind of armed attack against a civilian population that's designed to incite terror in the civilian population. Kind of like what ICE is doing.
Following people around and blowing whistles, not terrorism.
Well, attacking churches certainly instills terror in a civilian population.
Right. I mean, the case is reasonable for the church invasion, and also, as we established earlier, there have been snipers, right? Like this is.
There literally have been sniper attacks. Literally sniper terrorist attacks on ICE across the country.
The one who killed the 2 immigrants.
Yeah, accidentally. Does that make it better?
That was a terrorist attack. He was trying to kill ICE agents.
It was a very foolish idea to shoot into a car with tinted windows. You never know what you're going to hit.
Yes, he was trying to kill ICE agents, obviously.
I love the way that Decker is very carefully walking right up to the edge of the things he can say. I appreciate that.
Yeah, because it's obvious that Nicholas Decker wants to say that the ICE agent should have been shot.
Is that hold on, Nicholas? Is that what you want to say?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, sure it's not what he wants to say.
Nice dog whistle, bro. Nice dog whistle.
No, I appreciate it. Like, and this is something I said before we were all on the call, but the thing I appreciate about Decker is that he takes principles to their logical conclusions. So, I get it. I get it, man.
Yeah.
Drew?
Yeah, I'm not sure of how the next administration should deal with members of ICE. I think that losing track of them in Manchuria would be impractical and bad. But I do think that they should pursue federal charges against the worst offenders.
I think it would actually be a productive discussion whether Destiny and Nicholas should explain what they think that the next Democratic administration should do to ICE.
Do you remember when John what did John do right before he quit the Night's Watch? I'm trying to remember.
ICE individuals as well.
I think that they should prosecute crimes. I think they should prosecute the crimes committed, and they should also allow state agencies to go after them.
Is it a crime to enforce routine migrant? Is it a crime to enforce routine deportations of illegal immigrants? It is obviously like a misdemeanor offense to illegally immigrate to America.
It's not a crime, no.
What are the crimes that you think?
It is a crime. It is a crime to kill somebody. And it is a crime to deprive somebody of their civil rights. That's the term for excessive force, essentially.
Also,
Okay,
why do we keep lying and saying
irrelevant, but,
routine?
like,
This is
killing
not
somebody
routine.
is
None of
not
this is
in all
routine,
contexts
right?
the crime.
Why do we keep lying with that? Why do we keep saying routine?
By virtue of two people talking, I could understand nothing that was said.
Okay, so
I must apologize.
hold on. Let me clarify. Destiny's asking, why should we consider this routine? This is not routine. What would the response be to that?
Yeah, I mean, the wave of illegal immigration that happened under Biden was also not routine, and it's going to take something not equally non-routine to reverse it.
How's that working out?
Pretty
people
well.
being
I mean,
deported.
America has net negative immigration for the first time in I don't know what, it's decades.
Wasn't
So,
it negative,
it seems
net
to be
negative for the
working.
first time under the last 4 years of Obama?
The number of illegal immigrants here did drop, starting through Obama.
Yeah, so that was wrong.
Like,
But I know the facts aren't your guys' strong
No,
point.
I
to be
mean,
clear,
net
this was
negative
not
total
due to
immigration.
immigration. This is not due to enforcement policy, but it was due to the Great Recession. The best way to lower illegal immigration is to make the United States poorer, so that people don't want to come here and work.
Okay.
But it hasn't become poorer.
I don't know if
It's actually growing at a pretty fast clip right now.
No, it's not.
That's the thing. GDP growth is amazing right now. So
Yeah, and our currency is devalued by like 10 to 15%.
I mean,
Okay,
this is
stupid
real
shit
GDP
about
growth.
currency devaluations. Sorry. Okay, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
That was all.
I do want to ask. This is to Destiny and to Nicholas. Do you both think that it was appropriate for the ICE protesters to go into that church and disrupt the services there? So Nicholas says no.
Absolutely not. It was worse than a crime. It was a mistake, as Talleyrand would say. But that's basically my view on it.
Would you support them being prosecuted for that?
Yes, I mean, it would depend on the crimes they're being charged with. I think there are some crimes that would be definitely too excessive. I think that hate crimes or like conspiracy to commit hate crimes would be a stretch. I'm not a lawyer though.
Fair enough.
At a minimum, trespassing is like a very easy thing here, and it's like very obviously trespassing. So
Okay.
should evict and sue.
What do you think, Destiny, of Don Lemon and the protesters going into the church? Do you think that they were wrong to do so? Do you support them in doing so? What are your thoughts on the different styles of protest?
Don Lemon went into a church?
So
Not him personally.
Yes.
About 20 different protesters. They went into a church.
I don't know. I don't have an opinion. I'm hearing this for the first time. I don't have an opinion on it. Sorry.
Oh, fair enough. No opinion on it and things like that. I guess overall, do you think that the protesters have gone too far at all from what you've seen?
No, I haven't heard any examples of that, so I'm not sure.
They attacked the church,
No.
for example. They attacked
I haven't
the church
heard
in the
anything
middle
about
of the
that.
church.
Sorry, I haven't heard anything about that, so I'm not sure. I can't really have an opinion on it.
It was one of the most high profile incidents of civil unrest in
No, I
Minnesota.
don't
and
know.
we're
I haven't heard
debating
anything
civil-
about
we're-
that. No, I haven't heard anything
we're
about that.
we're debating civil
I'm
unrest.
sorry, I
in
haven't heard anything
Minnesota.
about that. I'm sorry, unfortunately.
Okay, well,
I mean, now you have.
fair-minded observers can obviously look at this and see that you're not engaging in good faith.
Just because I haven't heard about it?
Oh, it's obvious that you have heard about it, but you're just trolling.
How am I because I haven't heard about a thing? What, I'm supposed to keep up with every single story that's ever happened in all of U.S.
Oh,
politics?
we're debating civil unrest in Minnesota, and this was the most high-profile incident of civil unrest over the past few days. It was extremely viral on Twitter, which you use all the time.
Oh, interesting. Wait, so then was Renee, was the ICE agent that killed Renee, was his car stuck in an ice bank? Ooh.
Exactly. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
trolling.
You see how unfortunate that is? How fucking retarded you are? How called the fuck out you just were? Because you have no idea what the fuck you're
It's
talking
not-
about, and your
you're not-
memory is selective,
you're
and you
not-
won't engage with the facts. Isn't that frustrating right there? The honest take on the church thing is, here's my questions. One, because I did watch the videos around this. Did anybody ever call the cops to get the people removed or
exactly.
tell them to leave? I don't remember seeing it or hearing it. If they told them to leave and they didn't leave, my understanding is churches are private property, so you can arrest for trespassing. I hope that if they do get arrested for trespassing, the governor pardons every single one of them, like Donald Trump pardoned every single one of the fucking insurrectionists on January 6th, so that they can walk free and go and fucking do it again with no consequence. But if they were asked to leave and they didn't, then they would have broken a crime,
I think
and they
they
should be
would.
charged for it. And then the governor should pardon them immediately after, so they could do it again, just like Trump did with all the
I don't think
J6ers.
the governor should. I don't think the governor should pardon them. It's for starters, it's like at most community service at most, generally trespassing is you can't go back to this place. If you do go back to this place, you will actually get arrested and actually possibly have consequences. But a first-time trespassing is basically never any consequences at all. Frankly, nor should be, because the point of trespassing is we need you to leave. This is your very serious warning. Go away.
Do you have any thoughts on this, Hunter? Otherwise, I have another question for the panel.
Oh no, it's I think I don't feel much of a need to respond to most of the things Destiny says, because I think it's just very obvious to everybody who's going to be watching that he is not a good faith conversation participant. And one of my followers, when this conversation was announced, was like, "Oh God, get Destiny out of there." And for the record, this follower of mine agrees more with Decker's position and their position than
I feel like we can actually debate Decker.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we could, again, as I've said multiple times, have an interesting conversation on the merits of immigration, both legal and illegal. But
But you can't. How can you have that when you guys? You can't even have.
Yeah, no,
you don't agree with any of the facts.
I know what you're going to do. Yeah, I know. But yeah, you can go ahead and ask your next question.
Okay, well, here's a question on the merits of immigration. Regardless of how you feel about immigrants coming to the country or not, do you acknowledge that it's not really factually disputed that immigrants coming to your country, even illegal immigrants, are both a net fiscal benefit or neutral at worst, and then an economic boon for the area where they illegally immigrate to? Do you guys acknowledge that?
Not
No,
all
there
immigrants.
are plenty of
Exactly. It's
examples
fucking
where
stupid.
immigrants are
Plenty of
not,
examples?
like, a net fiscal benefit. Yes, obviously.
Hold on, wait. Hold on. This is a simple IQ check. Wait. This is a simple IQ check. If I were to tell you most women are shorter than most men, would your response be, well, that's crazy because I know a tall woman? Why would you say something so obviously fucking stupid? I'm saying on the net, even illegal immigrants tend to be a fiscal benefit to neutral effect, and they're an economic boon. On net. I'm not asking you about a specific illegal immigrant that you know or a specific example. Just on net.
Immigrants from first world countries are typically very productive.
No.
Immigrants from third world countries are typically unproductive.
No, that's not even true. You don't even know what productive or unproductive means. You have no fucking idea.
Very obviously. I mean, the fiscal impact obviously depends on the broad category of immigrants. So immigrants with a high school education or less into the United States specifically, if we just want to look at the U.S. context, are somewhat of a net fiscal negative, right?
How?
To be clear, for context, most citizens are net fiscal negatives.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
we run a deficit.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. That's true. Nicholas is right.
So
hold on, but when you say most citizens are fiscal negative, right? Most illegal immigrants that are coming in, your worst fiscal years of your life. So because I know that Drew and Ash or whatever, Ketchum, don't know. Yeah, it's children and old people. Correct. Fiscal means your government budgets, right? An illegal immigrant that comes in at the age of 18, you're stealing this person from another country, basically at prime working age. So you've missed out on that entire 18-year investment early on. So typically when they come in, and also because they don't have access to welfare because they typically work on social security numbers. It depends.
It depends. If you look at
what does net mean, Drew? What does net mean? What is net? Net. N-E-T. Net.
You're actually extremely obnoxious. You can't even have
because you're extremely retarded.
If you look at Britain and Denmark, there are studies that show that migration from third world countries typically has massive fiscal downsides because, on the whole, they have fiscal burdens on the state. And we look at, for example, the Somali community in Minnesota is 100% a fiscal net negative on the United States.
Denmark and Britain are not suitable comparisons to the United States for any question of net fiscal benefits because they have considerably more generous welfare systems.
True, but Minnesota has a more. That is true. That is true. I agree with you on that. Nicholas. But Minnesota does have more generous welfare provisions than, for example, other states. And we know, for example, that the Somali community.
You're so not American. Oh my God.
It's true though. It is true. And yeah, de facto. And Minnesota, unfortunately, did see systematic basically looting by the Somali community in the state of Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, as for how illegal immigrants collect welfare, beyond states that have gone out of their way to sort of provide their own systems that, provide welfare benefits to people regardless of immigration status, also illegal headed households collect welfare at higher rates than both legal immigrants and not, native-born citizens, right? Because their children, based on the doctrine of birthright citizenship, are citizens, and they collect welfare for those children at substantially higher rates than either legal immigrants or citizens. So, you can say, oh, that's not the illegal immigrants themselves collecting the welfare, it's their children who are citizens or whatever, but obviously that's still relevant to the question of immigration, whether we want these people here.
I guess the question I have, right, is regardless of whether you like immigration or not, right, I guess the question at hand isn't really about immigration, though. It's about how we enforce it and whether or not in Minnesota they are obstructing enforcement, and if that is sufficient reason to invoke the Insurrection
Right.
Act. So I'm just
I get.
Oh, go
So
ahead.
wait,
Nicholas.
I guess I'm sort of like willing to change the topic to the question of immigration, just because I view the question of invoking the Insurrection Act as just so willfully stupid that I would think less of anyone who argued for it. And so there's nothing really to discuss. You can either say that there's an insurrection going on in Minneapolis. You can say things. That doesn't make it true. So a much more interesting thing is then to discuss, okay, I have a few points related to immigration that I wanted to get out while I have the floor. First off, fiscal benefits is not necessarily the right thing to look at, right? Because there is uncaptured consumer surplus, and we're actually trying to maximize welfare, not government revenues. So even finding if there's small fiscal negative or even a somewhat large fiscal negative, if you compare them to other people in the country and the amount of the surplus they're creating, it's still better to have them in. Secondly, I firmly believe that there are increasing returns to aggregate population, and I would really challenge my interlocutors to come up with sound micro-foundations for why you would have decreasing or even constant returns to scale in a modern economy. And I also think that a pattern of immigration enforcement that is just characterized by a weird hostility to immigrants is likely going to I think the elasticity of relatively well-to-do first world immigrants to cultural hostility is much greater than the elasticity of third world of developing country immigrants, right? So I think that if you have a much more rhetorically hostile environment for immigrants, I think that is going to deter the English-speaking immigrants, and it's going to do much less deterrence of non-English speaking immigrants. So I think this is in fact a self-defeating policy to be extremely hostile.
Okay, Drew.
And we've lost people because of this.
Yeah, I
Duflo is off
give
off deserves,
Yeah, I want to give a
Try
chance for Drew and Hunter to respond to that. So go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sure. So if you don't mind if I go first, these are substantive points that can be responded to. And so yes, you're correct. First of all, no contest on the claim of superlinear returns of population, all else held equal, and that's sort of a big caveat. But yeah, I don't have any objection to that. You're also right that somebody's impact on state budgets does not capture their entire economic impact. But even if you show that essentially that subsidizing these people has had some sort of pro-growth effect, you would have to go further and show that this is the most effective way for the state to deficit spend even more to grow the economy, since that's essentially what we're doing. If we bring somebody in and then subsidize, net subsidize their existence here, that is a form of government deficit spending that to grow the economy, and you would have to argue that this is the most effective way to do that. But I do want to get to this really quick. I think the biggest issue in terms of how immigration is likely to impact economic growth going into the future is how people vote, right? If you look at pretty much any issue that's economically relevant, the most of the people that are immigrating are going to be relatively more socialist than the current population, and that will have really negative impacts on economic growth over the long time, much deeper impacts than whatever their personal contribution is. And that is, my biggest issue with immigration.
I
is
have a
how it
question on that,
impacts
if I may just
voting.
elaborate.
Let's see Destiny's response to that. Destiny was shaking his head, so I'd like to see his response.
No, that was just such a retarded point. I don't even know. I would have to.
So
I would have to take like
agreement.
5 shots in order to actually respond substantively to that point.
So I'm in agreement with Hunter on the question of like immigrant voting behavior being the main constraint on open borders. But so like Garrett Jones, for example, makes this argument. But the conclusion of Garrett Jones is actually we should have open borders with China. Actually, we should have open borders with Western Europe. Or actually, we should have open borders with Eastern Europe. And I think that those are all much better policies and would result in a much greater net flow of immigrants than anything proposed. And I think that I guess we haven't actually got to the hostility point mattering. That's all for now.
Aside from,
Well, I've got a response to that.
Yeah,
I mean,
go ahead.
I mean, Nicholas, you know as well as I do that the Somali community in
You don't
Minnesota the Somali community in Minnesota has been the recipient of very strong rhetorical support from the Democrat local and state officials in that state. And it's really only been like the last year or two that they've been coming into massive attack by, for example, the federal authorities. But prior to that, even despite having
That's just not true.
support,
Why are you saying that? All the investigations into the
Okay.
Biden DOJ, these charges were filed like in 2023. What do you?
no,
You
you're
can
not.
distinguish
You're
rhetoric and
Yeah, you actually misheard me, Destiny. I'm talking about so the point is, Nicholas is talking about rhetoric from politicians creating a hostile environment towards immigrants, and I'm saying that there's actually been a very positive environment towards, for example, Somali migrants in the state of Minnesota under the Democrats, and that still did not, for example, stop them from engaging in quite systematic behavior, for which Destiny points out led to major charges by Democratic authorities in 2023.
No, Mr. Pavlou, you've totally misunderstood what I'm saying. I'm saying that the largely English-speaking, like immigrants from Western Europe, are much more put off by anti-immigrant rhetoric generally than your immigrants from developing countries. So
I mean, that's true. I actually agree with you on that point.
Okay.
Actually,
cool.
I agree with you on that point, and I actually think you are right that if you had basically open borders with first world people from Western Europe, then that would work well. To be honest, it actually would.
Sure.
The major problem is people coming from extremely poor countries with very low trust. Very low trust societies, really poor countries.
Then the second, what follows up here is the general thuggishness and the general thuggishness and stupidity of ICE is going to change the relative composition of immigrants towards the people who you don't want.
Okay,
So I think it's
just so I
self-defeating
understand your argument. Your argument is that because of the anti-immigrant rhetoric coming out of Trump and the MAGA, and also the people are pushing away first world immigrants and attract and not having any effect on immigrants from developing countries. Is that your argument?
Yes.
Okay. Great.
Yes. Because
I think there's actually something to be said for
Western
that.
Europe
I think you're actually right about that.
No, I mean-
authoritarian slide.
Well, I mean, actually, I think that it's an interesting story, but has that been empirically borne out at all? I mean, like
Sure.
southern border crossings are at historic lows. It really does seem like the deterrent effect has worked on third world immigrants. As for your, I think I can sort of, I know where you're coming from in terms of the like sort of Robin Hanson-esque immigration maximalism and how like voting's the main constraint of that. And obviously we're not going to institute like a UAE style, sort of like permanent surf caste situation to handle immigration in a way that doesn't impact, electoral outcomes. But yeah, I mean, my only concern with open borders with China, mainland China, would be the obvious security risk. But as far as, a much more lenient immigration policy towards Europe, right, and maybe even towards like, granted, these places aren't, they're hardly producing surplus people, so I don't know how many would come, but certain like Pacific Asian countries that have proven themselves to be highly compatible, like Taiwan, Japan, Korea. Yeah, I'm open to that. I'm not like in principle against all immigration.
Before we go too. just real quick,
can I say one thing?
real quick,
I
I'll
think
give it. I'll give the mic to you. I promise.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
But
Okay.
before we go too far down that route, I want to kind of bring it back a little bit towards ICE in general, right? I understand that Nicholas here doesn't want to talk about the Insurrection Act, so fair enough. But we're going to talk about ICE in general, and this is to Drew and to
Yeah.
Hunter here. Do you think that the behavior of ICE in Minneapolis, or just in general, has been at all acceptable?
So I want to respond to this. I quickly wanted to address that previous point made by Hunter. I actually think that you could essentially have almost open borders with countries that are above 0.9 on the HDI, and it would probably be fine. If you're basically just talking about like first world industrialized developed countries with high trust backgrounds, you could probably. I mean, Australia could have.
It's so
open
wordy.
borders
You're
with
so wordy.
Japan.
Just say countries with white people. Could you say what you mean, please?
No,
Jesus,
no,
it's
because-
so much
because-
wasted
no, no,
content.
no, no,
Oh, and
literally
Asian,
not
white
what
and
I-
Asian, white and Asian, white and Asian. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's literally not even what I was going to say, because I was going to say Australia could literally have open borders with Japan, and I don't think there'd be a single problem with that probably.
Oh, sorry. What is Japan? Not white or Asian? I forget. Weeb, or what do you call
Well,
it? My bad.
it's
Go ahead.
an East Asian country, obviously.
Oh, okay.
But it's not actually about race. It's about whether it's a high trust society and whether it's a developed society,
course.
and whether we have cultural similarities. So
course.
there are three points to that. The second part, do I agree with every single thing that ICE has done? I actually disagree with a lot of the things. I think that they shouldn't go around in masked, and I think that they should have identifiable name badges, and the operations that they go should be a lot more, by the book. I think they should be subject to the rule of law, and they shouldn't be going around with masks and stuff like that. That said, I acknowledge the role that far left agitators have played in obviously inciting a lot of fear. There have been direct physical attacks on ICE agents, and I can understand why that creates a lot of tension, and it puts a lot of heat into the equation.
Yeah. Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Please.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say that, like, as I take a harder position than Drew here, actually. I think that the masks are justified by the fact that obviously these people would dox ICE agents and then try to make their lives as uncomfortable as possible, whether they would do
That's
that
fair.
through technically
That's fair.
legal means or, all the way up to, actual violent crimes that would be committed against them. I don't think there's any serious doubt that people in the
how many
left would be
violent-
Wait, hold
willing
on.
to
No, wait.
engage.
Just as a quick thing. This is why I'm just playing video games, and this is a deeply unserious conversation because he's going to say no to this. Would you agree that Donald Trump, when he gives the name of family members of, say, like a judge presiding on his case, that's a thing that could severely elevate the risk to those people?
Has that
I actually
happened?
This is
I
bullshit.
disagree
See,
with
that's
you
why
with
this is a deeply
If it-
unserious conversation.
I
It's just
actually-
not serious. It's just not
Well, I
real.
was actually going to say, I'll actually just straight up say, I think that's wrong if Trump does that. And if he has done it in the past, I'll condemn it. I don't think that's
Cool.
right.
You don't know. You never heard about that, though, right? This is why I haven't heard about the other thing, whatever you're talking about. ICE agents?
No,
Getting
no,
doxxed?
I'm sure-
Really?
I'm-
that
I'm-
actually happened? That's
I'm sure-
crazy. I haven't heard of it. Wait,
I'm sure
Don
that Trump
Lemon
has-
in a
I'm
Christian
sure that
church?
Trump-
Really? I don't know anything about that.
I was actually agreeing with Destiny, but he's just being obnoxious. Because I actually don't. I'm not a 100%. I don't agree with every single thing that Trump has ever said or done. So there are obviously cases where he intimidated legal officials, and I think that's wrong.
Would you here? Let me step in a little bit here.
Debating conservatives is like giving your little brother or sister the controller that's not plugged in. Like, this is just an like you're talking about
You're not
corruption,
Destiny, you're literally
corruption
not even-
worries.
You're
talking about
literally
corruption
not
worries.
even arguing.
Yeah, because you guys, because it's not
You literally
serious.
haven't made a single substantive
Okay, so
point. You
question.
literally haven't made
You're
a
worried
single
about. You're
substantive
worried
point.
about. Okay, here's a
There
substantive. Here's a
there
substantive
actually
point.
has
Ready?
been-
Oh
there
no, go
actually
ahead.
has been.
Yep, keep crying. Yep.
There's actually
ahead.
been a substantive discussion between
Yeah.
Hunter, me, and Nicholas.
Really?
Destiny's just he's not even involved in the conversation.
So you're worried about corruption in the United States or something. That's why you're worried about unbounded immigration from China or whatever. Are you worried about the fact that the president of the United States has a crypto coin that allows people to donate to him without any trace?
I think the crypto coin's bad.
Like,
I think the
but
crypto coin's
worse
bad.
than
Yeah.
anything else that's been done in terms of open access corruption to the president that we know of in recent U.S. history.
I just said to you that I think the crypto coin's bad.
I didn't ask if it was bad. I said, is it worse
think
than
it's-
any
I think it's
corruption
very
that a
bad.
president has been involved? Very bad? Listen to how fucking spineless and
very bad.
cucky your language is. Very bad? I'm asking you if it's the worst thing that a president has
strongly
done.
disagree with
This is
it.
why it's
But
an
it doesn't-
unserious
it doesn't-
conversation.
it
Strongly
doesn't-
disagree?
it doesn't
Oh my
then-
God. Talk
it
about
doesn't-
political speak.
It doesn't then justify Somali community in Minnesota.
No,
engaging
but it
in
does
massive
justify
systematic
it
fraud.
does justify
Which
the
is
fact that
essentially your argument.
people like you
Which is
shouldn't be
essentially
involved
your
in the
argument.
conversation
Which
because
is
you don't have the
essentially-
best
which is
interest
essentially your
in
argument.
corruption in mind. It's just partisan hackery. You're using topics that you can do to attack whatever brown people or whatever Democrats you want, but you don't actually give a fuck about the topics. Because if I were to search your Twitter, it's going to be totally fucking empty in terms of criticizing the rampant corruption that this administration has been involved in. You can't find a single piece of corruption that would be worse in all, or combined pieces that would be worse than single pieces of corruption that I could bring up. What about the fact that Donald Trump's son got his company got a $700 million contract from the DOD? What about all the stuff related to Palantir? What about the 2 crypto scams that Donald Trump is running? What about the fact that in Mar-a-Lago, if you were part of the top 25 donors, there's crypto coin, you got a sit-down meeting with the president of the United States. None of these things are things you care about, but you go, well, for immigration, we care about Somalis because there was an organization that did $105 billion in fraud. You don't care about it. You just hate them because they're brown or whatever the fuck political talking point you've got. That's it. It's not a serious conversation.
I do think the fraud in Minnesota pales in comparison to the organized looting of the Treasury by disabled veterans. So I think that we should fight the real enemy here,
Disabled veterans.
and not Somalis. Yes.
Okay.
They
No,
are
I know it.
absolutely a bunch of scammers.
I know what
They're
Decker's
somehow
talking
too-
about here. Yeah.
Well, I have a.
No, I mean, so like the thing is obviously like, Decker.
Well, hold on,
has
just
a-
real quick, Hunter,
okay,
just real quick,
yeah,
just real quick. Like, so, I mean, just to back up Destiny a little bit here, even though he's obviously not taking it as seriously as he should.
I did. It's a serious question. Taking it as seriously as they're taking it.
I'm asking. I'm making them answer your question. Like, there has been huge proven fraud from President Donald Trump, and why? Like, I guess why should voters care about the Somali stuff when we have President Trump? If those things that he said was true, looting the treasury through crypto coin, pay to play, basically saying the top 25 donors get access, having his son get a $700 million contract, the bribery from Qatar of $600 million plane. Like, and this is Hunter.
We just kidnapped.
I want Hunter to answer, right? Like, why should anyone care about what Somali's doing when the president's doing that?
I mean, I see that as essentially a non sequitur. Like, if you can point to any instance where these things have been connected to policy changes that have been bad for the United States, right? Like, somebody paid us to do some policy that's bad for the United States.
The president's doing these things, like, bad for the United States overall?
I mean, I would have to look into every individual instance of this to see if the facts are being characterized correctly. But like, the crypto coin,
it's shameless, bro. Oh my god, you have no shame. You're like not even human. It's like a snake, like slithering through the fucking guard. You're crazy. If I looked into any of these individual instances of fraud, I'm not sure anything. I bet that if I were to hold a gun to your head and give you a picture, a blank piece of paper, and I were to tell you to draw from memory the bottom of Hunter Biden's cock, I bet you'd be able to do it. But you don't know anything about some of the most rampant corruption that has ever existed in all of U.S. history, and you're living through it, and you don't know the details on any of it. You're clueless. It just shows you don't care about the corruption. That's it. Like, it's a super simple thing. Like, how could you pretend to care about corruption and not know any of these stories? It's because you don't care about corruption. It's because it's a partisan hackery bullshit point.
It's funny that you bring up I think it's funny that you bring up the charge of partisan bullshit hackery when Destiny the entire time in this debate has basically been resorting to full Carl Schmitt friend-enemy distinction politics. And essentially all of Destiny's politics are just Carl Schmitt friend-enemy distinction politics. Name one. I mean, you literally started the debate with a big portrait behind your head that said, Drew Pavlou, hang yourself because I've got a disagreement with you.
You're not... First of all, that's a dono that comes from a fan, number one. Okay, number two, that's not politics. That's just me making fun of you because you're somebody who should be made fun of. So name one policy point.
No,
you said that I'm a partisan hack, that all of my points are just based on partisan hack. Name one policy. Name one.
Good point. You said that every single person who invaded the church should be pardoned simply because they're Democrats.
That's not partisan. That's literally symmetry. What do you mean? Donald Trump pardoned all of the J6 people. No,
are you retarded?
Wait, hold on. Didn't Donald Trump pardon every single...
That's literally Schmittian friend-enemy distinction policy. You're saying because Trump did something bad, my friends should get anything that they want.
Wait, it's bad to pardon? I thought pardoning was a legal thing. My bad. Is it illegal to pardon people now? My bad.
As I understand friend-enemy distinction politics, just real quick, as I understand, and perhaps I'm wrong and you can correct me, but as I understand friend-enemy distinction politics isn't that they did something, so now we have to do something.
That's literally, but that is
my allies. Just real quick, let me finish.
Yeah.
These are my friends and my allies. allies, so I am going to make sure that I'm going to overlook the things that they do that is wrong.
Which
and
is
I'm
what
going to give
Destiny
them
did about the
things,
church.
and then
That's exactly what.
No,
that's
it's
exactly
not.
What
In
Destiny
order for
said
that to be true, it would
about
have to
the
be
church
me
invasion.
saying the J6 pardon was wrong, but we should do it on our side because it's right. That's the friend enemy distinction you're talking about. For me to say, well, they did this, so we should do the same thing because it's the same thing. That's not. We're not making a distinction. I'm saying you're so mad. Listen to you, Drew. Drew, listen to how mind raped you are right now. Drew, right now you're saying that I'm being partisan because I'm saying we should play by the same rules that the Republicans play by. That's how mind raped you are right now.
Every single
Your
person
mind
in the
rape.
church
Every time you speak, I hear the psychological trauma.
So that is
true. Go ahead.
It is literally friend enemy distinction politics. You said that because Trump pardoned Gen 6 rioters, therefore democratic governments should pardon any single leftist involved in rioting.
Did I say that? I just said for the church. Were there people rioting in the church? Did anybody get hurt? Was there any property destruction?
I mean, there was an attack on people who were simply going about
attack. So somebody was injured. Wait, so somebody was injured? Did somebody get killed?
Stop the.
That's a Dono thing. I'm so sorry. I don't know how that happens.
Okay. Yeah, that cut that out. But I am curious because I don't know. Was anyone hurt?
Was anybody injured there, Drew? You said they were attacking people. It doesn't matter. The facts don't matter, Drew. The facts don't matter.
They went into a church that was in the middle of a sermon and they attacked the
Could you
the
survive
sermon.
on a diet exclusively
Who was hurt?
of Trump's loads, or?
No, I want to know who was hurt. I actually don't know. And
Drew's feelings.
So because nobody was particularly stabbed in this incident, it's fine for them to
You said they were attacked.
It is an attack. They attacked the church sermon in the middle of the sermon.
Okay, what was destroyed? Like, did they flip tables?
It doesn't need to be.
What happened?
Jesus did more damage when he went to the temples to flip the tables of the gamblers. You're fucking crazy, bro. You're so retarded.
Please. I want to know what happened here.
I agree.
They went into the middle of a church in the middle of a sermon and they disrupted the sermon. That was an attack on people enjoying their right to religious liberty.
I don't think that falls under the usual meaning of the word attack, which generally involves attacking.
They disrupted a church service and basically violated the right to religious liberty of people who were going about their day as peaceful Christians. And so that was an attack on a religious service. They disrupted the service. It was an attack. And Destiny Destiny thinks. Oh, so you think it's just the equivalent of a stand-up comedian being heckled? It's a church sermon in the middle of a sermon.
Do you think that, Nicholas?
Yeah, you walk in there, you make a
equivalent.
Okay, here's how
you walk in there, you make a lot of noise, you make a
Wait, can I ask a serious question? Wait, I'll ask Drew a question.
No, I just
want to so we can understand.
I'm going to finish my point.
Please, I'll ask. You can talk. I just want to ask a serious question. You can do it. No, it's about this. It's about this. It'll be serious. Okay, I'm serious. Okay, just so we can understand what you consider attack. Let's say that a guy eats a fuck ton of just the most rancid beans ever, goes into a church full well knowing that he's about to unleash the rankest farts known to mankind, and he disrupts the service people have to leave. Would that be a biochemical terrorism?
Destiny, stop, calm down.
This is legitimately friend enemy distinction politics, because if somebody had done that to a Muslim service, you would be crying. 100% you'd be crying. If Zohran Mamdani was in a mosque and there was a religious service and a bunch of Republicans went in and disrupted the service, you would say that this service had been attacked. So this is just pure friend enemy distinction politics. No, it is friend enemy distinction politics. It certainly is. You would hate it. You would hate it if people disrupted a Muslim service that, say, Zohran was partaking in.
I'm the number one Muslim lover.
You're fine,
well-known Muslim lover in the United States. Destiny, that's me. Yeah.
No, but you would 100% cry though. If right wingers had attacked a Muslim service in the United States, both Nicholas and Destiny would condemn it.
Okay.
Not if attack means protest. I don't know what attack means right now in your definition.
I would not describe it as attack. It was obnoxious and a bad idea, as I have described the incident in Minneapolis.
If 20 MAGA supporters went into a Muslim service that was, that Zohran Mamdani was a part of, it would be roundly condemned by every single person on the left. But because it was a Christian service and Christians are perceived to be your sort of like right-wing enemies, therefore you're fine with them being attacked like that.
I don't know what attacked like that. I mean, I don't know how they were attacked. I condemn anybody that wastes time going to a church. I'm an atheist. I think it's a waste of fucking time. So that's my position.
Just I don't know. Maybe
ahead,
I've seen
please.
more footage or something, but just I'm not even trying to make any particular point with this, but just so we have a clear narrative of what happened. Like a group of people went into a church during service. They got in people's faces. They screamed at them, and then when the parishioners fled, including a group of children, right? There you can watch clips of a group of kids walking out of a side door of the church because they were afraid. You can say they didn't have a reason to be, but they obviously were. Don Lemon is on camera saying, look, they're scared, but this is, the point of protest is to make people uncomfortable or whatever. So yes.
Hold on, wait, just so I can understand what you just said. Don Lemon
intentionally
pointed at
intimidating
kids
people.
leaving a church and said, this is the point of these protests, to make those people scared. That sequence
Yes.
of events happens within 5 or 10 seconds?
You can go look it up. Go for it.
It's
if you
real.
want to, you can give me the video of it, and you can give me the timestamp or whatever, and we could watch it. If that's what
Let
you
me
want
see
to
it.
do, we can. I'd absolutely do that.
How did they get into the church, by the way?
They just stormed the gates.
Oh, so they left the doors unlocked? Did they let him in? That kind of sounds like a guided tour, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
I mean, churches don't typically lock their doors. Like, come on, that's a really bad faith point.
Hmm.
This is for you.
Sounds like a tour to me. I don't know.
This is retarded because if people had done
Agreed.
this to a synagogue or a mosque, Destiny would immediately see that it's wrong. But because it's Christians, he thinks it's funny.
I just don't know what even happened yet. I'm hearing attacked. I don't know if people were kicking the walls of the church. You said get in their face, so I don't know if somebody walked next to somebody. I don't know if you've been to church before, but you're typically pretty close together, so I'm just not sure what happened. And it seems like none of you have any fucking idea what happened either, so we're all just kind of on ground zero right here, I guess, yeah. Based.
Okay. God. We have.
Next
Do you see how
question, Rick?
retarded this is? Wait, like there's no factual conversation.
on,
Like these
just-
guys don't
just-
care. They can't
just-
engage
just
with
to be clear-
reality. What do we talk? I don't even know what we're talking about, right?
just-
They haven't seen any of the videos for any of these issues that they feel so strongly about. That's fucking retarded to me. And they're talking about invoking the Insurrection Act, and these cocksuckers would literally follow Trump to the end of the earth doing it without knowing any of the underlying facts involving what we're talking about invoking the Insurrection Act for. That's a deeply unserious
Destiny,
joke position.
I
It's a
feel
joke
like you should
position.
have made this point while engaging with their points.
No, why would I engage with retards for a conversation that requires you to
then.
not be
Leave the call.
retarded?
Leave the call then, Destiny.
No,
We can
I like
have a
triggering
discussion.
the fuck out of
Why
you.
is it-
It's too much fun for me.
No one's triggered. We were able to have a reasonable discussion. With
No,
Nicholas
you haven't
despite
had
having
a
made
reasonable
different
discussion.
choices.
You can't. You
We
can't
actually
engage
have.
with any of the facts. You can pretend to. You can utter
You're
the
screaming-
words that are
you're
grammatically
screaming like an
correct to
ape.
make it seem
You're
like
just
it.
screaming like an ape.
Oh,
You're-
sorry.
you're
I'll stop
screaming like
screaming
an
for
ape.
you. I'll stop screaming just for you. Okay.
We've had an actual discussion with Nicholas Deco.
Oh,
and
really?
We can't
Tell me what the discussion was about. How much ground did you cover?
much more ground than we've had with you.
See, I love you, Drew. I love you the most. I
Okay,
love
wanna
you.
give it
We
to
found-
Nicholas.
we
Nicholas,
found some-
go ahead.
We found some points of agreement on there being increasing returns, and we've isolated the real cause of disagreement being over future voting behavior. Now, I think, to be honest, the correct response is for all of us to go back to our computers for 2 weeks, write down a model, calibrate the model, and then spit out, a solution, or at least like what are the bounds on assimilation, or whatever, that would be required for it to be net good and what would be required to be net bad. I actually wanted to back up about 20-30 minutes and just quickly note that I think a policy being like a net good is sufficient to argue for it to be enacted, and it being not the optimal policy is only a very weak argument against it. Because a lot of times whatever the optimal policy is not like within the space of what is possible. So
Yeah, I mean,
One of
that
the-
point in like full abstraction, I agree with. And like, I also agree that I'll just speak for myself. The main issue for me is, voting is control of policy, essentially. Like if we lived in some society that somehow in a way that was impossible to interfere with or ever change was enforcing like, a basically like extremely libertarian framework on the country, then all of my objections to immigration would be much
I
less.
wouldn't very much. I wouldn't very much want an extremely libertarian because I think because I believe there are increasing returns. I think that there's substantial underinvestment into research and development being the big one. And I also
Okay.
think there are very obviously incomplete insurance markets, and that there is in fact a lot of welfare spending that raises welfare.
I guess.
So
Yeah. To bring it back.
It's a
little bit.
conversation we can have. Yeah.
Yeah, to bring it back a little bit though, I do want to talk about one of the recent allegations that have been made against ICE, and hopefully you guys have heard of this one. There has been a whistleblower who has claimed that ICE was secretly training, again against DHS policy, that their ICE agents did not need a judicial warrant in order to go into homes and to break into homes and things like that. Do you have? Well, I guess I'll just start here. Have you heard of that? Those allegations, Hunter and Drew. Have you looked
Yeah.
into that at all?
Yeah, vaguely.
Yes.
And like I don't know how secret it is, and that like I'm pretty sure that Vance has posted about the use of administrative versus judicial warrants. Yeah.
Do you think that administrative warrants are sufficient to satisfy the demands of the Fourth Amendment?
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but at some point, like, the strategy here is obviously to bog things down in so much procedure that deportations can't happen at scale. So in this context, I support them. Now, if we hadn't had the Biden wave, right, if the scale of the work to be done wasn't so huge, then I'd be more interested in having a conversation about exactly how much process is relevant or useful in any given context. But yeah, I'm fine with them using administrative warrants.
Sure. So just to be clear, even if it does violate the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, because of the context we are in, you are fine with violating that amendment because of Biden letting in all those illegals. You're fine with that. You're okay with it?
I don't know that it violates the Fourth Amendment
Assume
of the Constitution.
It does. Yes, it does.
Just assume it does.
I would assume. I think that's a reasonable position. I think that for generally most of the laws we have in the United States, I think that we should try to follow them as best we can. But in times of like emergency or crisis, I think that's the most important time to abandon as many of our civil rights as possible, especially if it's a president that I agree with. So I would generally agree with the position that he just laid forth. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you want me to assume that it's something that I don't think it is, then yeah, I mean, I think that would be bad, but.
That would be bad. Okay. What about you, Drew? What do you think?
Sorry, I wasn't listening. Could you repeat the question?
Okay. This is.
Be honest. I got a bit distracted. What was the question
You're
again?
fine.
Sorry.
So, have you heard about the allegations made by a whistleblower saying that there was a secret kind of memo going around that ICE agents could break into homes or go into homes without a judicial warrant? Are you
with an administrative warrant instead of a judicial one?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Look. Firstly, I actually wasn't aware of the whistleblower regarding that. Secondly, I would just say I don't actually agree with that though. If it's true, I think they should. They need to respect. They need to respect the Bill of Rights.
Okay. Do you think if they're doing that, let's just assume it's true. Let's just assume it's correct.
If they're doing that, I would
violating the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. Do you think that people should maybe protest that?
Sure, maybe there are legal avenues of protesting. They shouldn't physically harass and attack ICE agents, which is what
notably following around and recording people is legal. This is well established. Sure.
Well, if they're not disrupting, then I've got no problems with people exercising their First Amendment rights in a way that's not disrupting federal immigration enforcement.
You see how this is a bit hollow in the way that they're interpreting it.
Look, if people are peacefully protesting without attacking agents, then I've got no problem with people peacefully protesting. But
sure,
but the majority of Americans did vote
protest.
Overall,
following agents around.
I didn't necessarily say that. Again, Nicholas, I don't think that. No,
the warnings cross into interference. Absolutely, they do.
That warning is interference. And the second thing is, I also didn't say that Will Stansel should be arrested for blowing the rape whistle thing. Like, he can blow the rape whistle as much as he likes. It's fine. I'm not saying that he should be arrested for that. He's exercising his First Amendment rights. I do think that going around warning people is obviously interfering with the prerogative of immigration enforcement agents.
I am a bit concerned that Will Stansel blowing the rape whistle will be a bit of a crying wolf, because that's our main indicator for whenever Grok enters the singularity.
Okay, we got a Will Stansel.
We love Will Stansel. He's a funny guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I
He's
don't know.
a
I guess
dogged
so.
fella.
Let's go to the. So you think that warning people that ICE or the police or whatever is in the area is enough to count as interference or
Yeah,
unlawful
absolutely.
obstruction?
Yeah, the purpose of that is obviously to help people who they're seeking like evade capture. So yeah, that's interference with law enforcement.
So when there's my driving app and there's a speed trap up ahead, is that illegal?
I actually always thought that was ridiculous. Every time I see that, I wonder. Well, it's obviously intended to help people circumvent laws.
I think the people that monitor that should be executed.
It's like well-established law where the police are.
Yeah, but did you consider that right now we're in a time of great crisis?
Mm-hmm. I also like this is kind of point scoring. I don't care, but like if we believe that we're like in a state of exceptional, like under the Biden administration, an exceptionally large number of people entered, and it was 30 million, right? And then it turns out this is like totally untrue and it's way lower. Then our assessment of what to do should also change, as the facts change.
Sure. So I mean, like, are the estimates that you think are most accurate also unprecedented in recent decades in terms of border crossings?
Like it's a 3 million net increase as far as I can, at least from Pew.
Right. And how does that compare to previous years?
So that like puts us as about like less as a portion of population compared to 2005, back of the enveloping it, and like 1 million more in absolute numbers compared to 2005.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that seems like kind of a big deal to me. And to be fair, I probably also disagreed with the number of people we were bringing in 2005. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess my concern here is that like almost anyone can justify changing the rules or ignoring the rules because it's an emergency. And I've been hearing for the last 10 years from both sides at various degrees, it's an emergency. It's an emergency. I remember in 2020, right, when we did the lockdowns and things like that, we were like, okay, well, we should have these vaccine mandates because it's an emergency. And all the right wing stood up and says, wearing a mask is against the rights. We need to just fight federal power who are overstepping their bounds and coming into our places of worship, shutting down our churches, all these things. We need to resist all of this. These federal agents are overstepping their bounds. I don't see it but now we have an emergency you guys think is actually an emergency. And suddenly you're like, well, actually, no, the feds are based and you should comply or get shot. And I'm just struggling with the kind of seeing you guys for 5 years ago and hearing your takes today and how they've just basically switched places.
I mean, you guys is a little, you guys is a little strong. I don't think I've had
they don't support Trump, bro.
At all on the lockdowns.
Dude. Like that wasn't them.
I feel like I'm not going to answer for like a vague amalgam of like all right wing people or what they think on average or something. But
Drew had not at that time settled upon his adult political, so it's like not fair.
What did you say, Nicholas? I didn't hear.
I said that you had not by that time settled on your adult political opinion, so it's a bit unfair to be.
Well, both. I think the funny thing is that both Hunter and I 5 years ago were leftists.
And then the left moved so far left. I saw that. It was a really good picture that Elon Musk posts so much. The left moves so far left.
Well, it's true. Well, it's actually true.
I agree. It is. I agree. It's true. I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, it's crazy.
Destiny sent to left, but he was advocating that Charlie Kirk be shot. So
I remember advocate. I think I said those exact words. I think I did advocate for that. Yeah, just like the CCP has actually tried to arrest you 30 times. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 100%. That really happened.
Well, it is actually. Again, you don't even have a point here.
A math. At some point, were you at Hunter? Were you at some point like a math major / engineering socialist at some point in the past?
Yeah. That was basically my position. Was I was kind of a technocratic progressive, yeah, like
Okay.
social democrat type, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I guess to the question then, what changed your mind? Like,
Yeah.
what made you leave the left,
Yeah.
so to speak?
Well, it's pretty
wokies.
obvious. Like even
So-
even so-called moderate leftists like Destiny, who were supposed to be against Hassan Piker and all the communists and stuff like that, actually were joking about Charlie Kirk being assassinated, and they've embraced a whole range of extremely radical positions.
Transing all the kids, banning men from
Destiny-
everything, mandatory estrogen treatments for all adult
Can I
males.
answer the
It's
question?
very funny.
Was
It's
kind of-
actually very funny.
Well, hold on. I asked Hunter, so I do want to hear what Hunter has to say.
Yeah, so I actually don't think, based on the stated positions that I remember from just 5 years ago versus today, that the left has moved significantly far in that time. Now they've moved over decades for sure, but I'm perfectly happy to say that I'm the one that moved, and that was the primary cause of my own political reorientation. This is obviously just going to turn into like this, could be its own separate episode. It could be its own separate series of episodes. But you asked me what I changed my mind on that convinced me to
give me the elevator pitch version.
So
Okay, right, I don't wanna
there
offend
there are
one.
sure. So there are a few different issues, but the basic one was that I became convinced of a moderately strong version of hereditarianism, and when you actually unfold the consequences of that, it sort of vitiates the justifications for a lot of left-wing policies. Not just policies related to race, but general socialist policies. The idea that like all people need is a hand up, that the current distribution of wealth and income is totally arbitrary, and thus like it's a good idea for us to actively mitigate it and push back against the sort of hierarchy that develops based on like a market system or something. So yeah.
Does it hurt the fact that this concept of race, doesn't it kind of suck that it seems like all of the white people that ascend to the top tend to be the lowest IQ individuals? So people like Donald Trump, Elon Musk, people like Drew.
I actually don't think that. Oh, sorry. It's good that
Drew is
Greg
white?
Destiny just proved I'm white. That's beautiful. But Hunter actually hadn't even talked about race. Destiny, it's very funny because
when
you didn't
say
actually.
hereditarianism, what do you mean then, if not race?
Oh, I mean that various personal characteristics that are relevant to, in particular, economic productivity and a broader suite of life outcomes that are
group, perhaps.
that are. It doesn't. No, it's not. It relates to some of those questions indirectly, but the basic idea is just that people's talents are to a greater degree inborn than the result of environmental advantages. And that applies within race and also across races.
It's funny that Destiny
it
called me white.
depends on what
He
you
didn't
mean
actually. He didn't have the right script. The right script is that I'm supposed to be brown. But yes, sorry, you go on, Nicholas.
I don't think Drew is white. I think he's too Turkish for that.
That's funny.
Oh, even worse than being white, to be honest. Then you share a
is
race
the
with
real
Hassan
debate. Is
Piker.
Drew
Oh my!
white?
My
No.
hatred for
Drew
Turkish people just grew tenfold today. Nice.
And you know how we're going to decide if Drew is white?
I actually
Whoever
laugh at
gives
that,
me the
it's
largest
funny.
Super chat can decide, right? This is capitalism, baby. Okay, so
Anyway,
whoever gives
Nicholas,
me
you
the
should
most money will
you should
decide
go back
how
to
if we're white or not. But I guess I guess like to Drew, and I'm really curious because you tried to bring up this earlier, and I don't think we touched on it, but I'm really curious. You said that there's this that the state of civil unrest in Minnesota currently is enough that you would argue that we should that Trump should invoke the Insurrection Act. Why? Explain.
I mean, it's a live question, but there's been the destruction of multiple federal vehicles. There's been break-ins of federal gun lockers, and literally federal guns have been stolen by some of these rioters. There were the sort of attacks on the churches. So I think there is certainly a state of civil unrest, and I know that Democrats
Has one person, has anyone fired shots at ICE in the city of Minneapolis?
I mean,
Oh, so you want
would
people to
be
die?
happy if it well, it's heading in
I
that
mean, like, this
direction, and I
feels
think
like-
Nicholas would be fine with that.
Okay, so we should invoke the Insurrection Act, which is if there is, a state of insurrection, because if trends continue, there might be an insurrection in the future.
I mean, for example, Trump sent in the National Guard into DC, and I don't think there was any problem with it. A lot of Democrats said, "Oh, that was the sign of impending
It was a
dictatorship."
big waste of money.
Oh, it was fine. I was in
but they
DC last
also-
week, and it was
It's
it was
Yeah,
Exactly.
they
really good.
stopped
They
all
actually kept-
crime.
they
I have
actually
so many
kept
friends
really
in
safe.
DC who are like, all crime is gone now. It was
Right.
actually amazing.
So there was far as I can tell,
I felt safer. I'll tell you my own personal experience. I went to both DC and NYC, and I think I felt a lot safer in DC with the National Guard around. On the subway, there was actually there was a point on the subway where I was with my family member, and there was a crazy guy who was jumping around with a knife right in front of us 2 meters away, and it was a extremely disturbing situation. It was scary. There's human feces on the subway.
Wait. Did the National that happened while the National Guard was there and you felt safe?
I have a blog.
No, I'm saying in DC. I'm saying in DC is a lot safer. The public environment is a lot safer because there's National Guard patrolling. In the subways in NYC, it's pretty scary. It gets dicey.
In NYC you were in. Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so
by the way, this is the fakest drive I've ever heard in my life. Go ahead.
I have
What's the fakest? Back in September. What's the fakest? I've got videos of crazy guys on the subway.
I want to hear what Nicholas was talking. Let's hear what Nicholas has to say, and then you respond.
I have a blog post from back in September that is basically just doing the very, very most rudimentary differences on crime before and after. And when you consider that the National Guard are not employed full time but have to leave their jobs at considerable disruption, it does not shake out as cost effective. So
I mean, that's going to depend a lot on how you weight the costs of various crimes, but exactly. I mean, I'd be happy to look at that at least. And if you think there would be a more cost effective, because obviously the local officials in DC weren't going to do anything about crime, but if you think there was a more cost effective way to federally enforce the law there, then yeah, I'd be happy to look at that.
Okay, I do have.
So my initial blog post, by the way, was only including the direct cost of paying the National Guard, their salary, and then after I realized, wait a second, there's considerable economic disruption from them leaving their job, and I don't have numbers for that, but it's probably rather large, and since it was borderline anyway, adding that in will probably put it well to net negative.
We have some super chats that have come in. I do got to make a little money today. Okay, I'm a capitalist. Okay, so I'm gonna. We can.
We're on Twitch. Whoa.
We are on YouTube, sir. But fair enough. Not Twitch, because.
By the way,
because of.
By the way, yes. I'm just gonna signal this. I've got to leave in about 30 minutes.
That's fine. We were going to end it at 8 anyway. We'll get through these really quick. Moto Milk for $5 says, "What the fuck is this? We need arc raiders." Okay. £5 for Riz. What the fuck says, "Was good a domestic terrorist? And are any of these protests reasonably describable as either domestic terrorism or insurrectionary?" And that's to Hunter and to.
I mean, seizing federal guns and break into federal cars and then seizing guns out of the gun locker. That is literally the definition of insurrectionary behavior. When you're literally stealing the armory of the state, that is literally borderline. That's definition insurrection. When you're literally stealing the weapons of the state.
Do you agree with that, Hunter?
Yeah, I mean, that incident in particular was really extreme, and then furthermore,
What did Nicholas just say? I didn't even hear him.
He's made an exclamation on how he can't believe you guys just said that. But go ahead, Hunter.
When you're stealing the guns of, how, Nicholas? When you're stealing guns from federal agents, how is that not insurrectionary?
What the fuck do you think insurrection is?
Okay. Are we seriously going to declare the Insurrection Act anytime somebody steals a gun? Sorry, this is stupid.
There were organized groups,
in riots in Los Angeles. Not somebody stole weapons out of a truck.
Not just somebody. It was an organized political group broke into a federal car and started stealing weapons.
Who?
That is insurrectionary. What
was the organized group that broke into the car and?
I don't know if they've got a formal name, but they're anarchist type groups, and these you can laugh all you want, but these anarchist type groups,
I'm laughing because you're fucking retarded.
But
it's funny.
Okay, but
it's funny to me.
I mean, what do you think they're going to file as a 501c3?
How do you find it's Tren de Aragua, 501c3 in the United States? Is MS-13 a 501c3? Are Crips and Bloods registered at their local, federal or state offices for tax purposes? What the fuck kind of retarded question is that? My God.
Destiny.
It's unserious.
Anarchist groups.
Drew, the Chinese are in your background. They're coming. I see them. The CCP, they're breaking through your walls, Drew. Oh no, they're coming again. Okay, you better do another fundraiser.
$5 question. You're giving a $50 answer.
No. Hang on. I'm responding.
He's
Destiny,
cooking.
these are anarchist groups. They're decentralized networks. Of course, they're not going to be as organized as the Bloods and the Crips.
Oh man,
Okay.
that's crazy.
$5 from Bad Company to the MAGA dick sucks on the panel. Any evidence of these networks of kamikaze drivers?
I mean, I listed earlier in the show like a description from Reuters about organized groups of people whose job is to disrupt ICE. But I
Whose
think it's
job
very
is to go and
important
take
note that, like,
pictures and video record ICE when they're conducting operations, which is a
There's
First
a
Amendment
very
right in the
obvious-
United States.
there's a very
right? That is a
obvious
First Amendment.
strategy
That is a
here,
First
right?
Amendment. That's a First Amendment right in the United States, right?
There's a very obvious.
He won't
strategy
answer
here,
because he
which
doesn't
is
get
to
you. Because
maintain
Republicans don't care
plausible
about your rights.
deniability
They don't care
between
about your
the layers
rights.
of organization,
They don't.
right?
They don't care about
Like,
their rights.
The idea is that the politicians at the top retain plausible deniability while facilitating this behavior whenever possible.
Oh, like
and
when
then it
Donald
just
Trump
trickles
gave
all
that
the way
speech
down.
at the Ellipse and all of his followers marched down to the Capitol to try to disrupt a governmental process there? Wouldn't that be an insurrection?
Whataboutism.
How is that
This is
whataboutism? I'm describing definitionally what you gave. That's not whataboutism.
It literally
It's
is.
whataboutism
You're talking
because
about a
you
different
can't-
thing.
It's, You
Exactly.
think whataboutism is when you talk about a different thing? Whataboutism is when you try to
avoid
excuse a
talking
current.
about the
I'm not trying to
subject of
avoid anything. You have no
conversation. Yes,
evidence of what you're
obviously.
talking about, so there's no way to even
You're
avoid
trying
it.
to avoid discussion.
I just gave you the evidence earlier.
The evidence is that they conduct themselves in such a way that it's never possible to point to any behavior to show that they're actually engaged in supporting these groups. So it's literally unfalsifiable, definitionally. How could I possibly prove your point wrong?
These are decentralized anarchist groups.
There's no
These
response.
decentralized
This
anarchist
is not a
groups-
serious conversation.
Okay, Destiny. Do you know what anarchism is? Do you know what anarchism is?
with the
Are
soundboard.
you aware? Destiny, are you aware that anarchist ideology
Destiny, enough
exists?
with the soundboard, please. Okay.
Are you aware?
$20.
Are you aware that anarchist ideology exists and that they have these decentralized groups?
Every time you talk to me, I hear it's just the most retarded thing I've ever heard in my life. Everything is
You
worse
have no point. You
than
have
the
no
last.
argument.
You didn't
have
even
no
answer my
argument.
question.
Destiny, you
Listen to what you're
literally have
talking
no
about.
argument.
You're saying
You
there
have no
are
argument.
decentralized anarchist groups that are being supported with plausible deniability at the top from Democrats, so there's never going to be a direct link. I can never point to any group that I'm actually looking at. You sound like a fucking schizo. If I were to put you in front of a psychiatrist, they would lock you up for 72 hours because you would be a threat to yourself and society. You sound schizophrenic. You're having delusionary
Here's the super
hallucinations.
obvious way
Oh, thank you.
Here's the
Super
super
obvious.
Why do
Go
you keep
ahead.
crashing-
Thank you.
Why do
Tell
you
me.
keep crashing out?
Just
Why
right.
does Destiny keep crashing out like this?
Oh,
We
don't
are
say
not
crashing
raising our
out like I'm
voice.
trying to crash into somebody. Am I
Yes,
about to
like-
get executed by an ICE
Hold on.
agent?
Hold on.
Destiny's
Hands
the
up,
one.
don't shoot.
Actually answer the question, Hunter. Answer
He's
the
the one
question.
that's crashing out.
Yeah,
No,
so
you.
here-
No, you
here-
are.
Here would be something.
Destiny's
that-
just
that
screaming.
would
He can't even talk.
Okay, Drew, Destiny,
Here,
let Hunter go right now, please.
here would be something that would be a narrative violation for me and that would cause me to rethink my perspective, right? If leading Democrats in the state, if Tim Walz, if Jacob Frey came out and said, well, you have the right to protest, you absolutely do not have the right to interfere with federal law enforcement, and anyone who does so will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. If they issued any statement actually trying to get people to stop doing these things,
Excuse
then
me,
that
hold
would
on,
cause
that's
me to
fine.
question my
Didn't
beliefs.
Tim Walz literally explicitly tell everybody that they needed to not be violent and all of you fucking retards blew him up for it on X? So if I could find you the statement, you will admit right now that you would survive on a diet of Trump's cum given the opportunity to. Because Walz has absolutely fucking said that. How have you never heard this before? You're insane.
This is embarrassing.
I
This
agree, it is
embarrassing.
embarrassing. I agree. I do agree.
No,
Sorry,
I
you're
mean,
embarrassing.
he's
You
not,
can't
he
even
said,
argue without
he
Destiny,
said
if you
not
wanna
to be
send me that
violent.
clip,
I
I
said
can
not to interfere with federal law enforcement.
It's not interference to follow people around.
It's not interference to take pictures of
we
people.
fundamentally disagree with the idea that warning
And
the
it's not
subject of a
interference to tell people
criminal
to run.
or federal immigration enforcement operation that enforcement officers are coming to get them, I consider that
Interference would
interference.
be
That's
killing
fine
them.
of you, but your personal perspective is not relevant here. That's not illegal to do.
I disagree. I think that is interference.
You
with a federal
hold
law
on.
enforcement
Your
operation.
thoughts are the law.
No, come
You
on.
disagree?
Hey, no, look. If
No,
the
wait.
cops
This is a
were
super
coming to
simple.
arrest
No.
them-
This is a simple question.
if the
Is
cops-
it illegal? Is
listen,
it illegal to give people a warning that ICE are coming? That's illegal. That's an illegal
If
thing.
the cops were coming to arrest a murderer and then you said, hey, the cops are coming, get out, you would absolutely be prosecuted for that. Yes.
I'm
If
not
you
asking about the
interfere with
cops
federal-
coming for a murderer. I'm saying, is it illegal to give somebody a heads up that ICE is coming? That's an illegal thing.
If the intention of it is to enable a subject of a warrant to escape ICE custody, then yeah.
Has anybody ever been arrested for this
To
or
the
charged with a crime?
extent that-
What?
Has anybody
Has
ever been
anyone
arrested for it?
for this? If this is illegal, who's been arrested and convicted of doing this? Is his
I
question.
don't know off the top of my head. Like,
His claim is that no one has, I believe.
Okay. That seems unlikely.
Wouldn't it be great to actually know the answer to that?
Anyway, Wick, what's the next question?
Yeah, okay, yeah, we got a lot of money on the table. $20 from Pondering Politics. Thank you, Josiah. Says, Glasses said, I'm assuming that's you, Hunter, in his intro, that if you don't like something, vote, but you lost the election. Does that apply to MAGA? Next time a Dem wins, will they commit to shutting the fuck up and letting Dems do whatever they want because MAGA lost?
That's kind of a stupid question because MAGA never loses except for when Democrats rig it.
I won't be trying to interfere with federal law enforcement operations.
Like they did when they lost the last election?
I'm not like a January. I'm not.
Why do you keep
6th.
doing this like the lowest IQ possible thing? When I point out an example and you go, well, I didn't do it. You understand that's like typical behavior of like a mentally retarded individual, right? Do you acknowledge that?
I'm saying that I'm only responsible
Do you
for
acknowledge?
positions I actually
I understand.
hold.
I understand. Do you acknowledge that what you're doing is typical of somebody who has developmental disabilities, like severe cognitive impairment? I'm just curious if you can acknowledge that.
Non-point.
Okay. Do you acknowledge that Republicans did do the thing, like Republicans did do the thing where when they lost the election, they tried to have a massive riot at the White House to change the results? Or at the Capitol, sorry.
Yeah, that happened.
Okay. Do you think when Josiah made that donation, do you think Josiah was asking about your personal opinion on what you personally would be doing? Or do you think he was speaking to the broader context of Republicans having a fucking riot and to this day not accepting the outcome of the 2020 election? What do you think he was more likely talking about there?
I mean, I can't answer for anybody that's not me, and the fact that like.
Then why are you here? Why are you here? Hold on, wait. Was this debate about what is your personal? What are you personally going to do? Then why are you talking about Trump or anybody in the administration? You're not the president of the United States. You're not the head of the Department of Homeland Security, the head of the FBI. Why are you here giving your opinion on anything at all? It's just low IQ behavior. Why does everybody who believes in this hereditary biological, or maybe you do believe in it, you think you just got dealt a bad hand? I guess I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
I think with regard
This is
to
actually
January
Destiny.
6th,
You are literally retarded. You are literally
Let
retarded.
Nicholas answer, and then we'll give it to you, Drew. I promise. Nicholas.
I think with regard to the January 6th conspirators, we should have remembered the lessons of May 15th, and that is all that I'll say.
Okay, Drew. You had something to say. Go ahead.
I just think it's funny that Drew and Hunter presented to this debate, but Destiny wants to argue like he's literally debating Trump himself. We are moderate conservatives. We are not necessarily
You're
Jan
such
6.
a fucking liar.
No, come on!
That's what you sound like every time you're talking about. Bro, come
Hold on,
on.
just real quick, but
You're literally
just-
wiping your mouth clean every
on,
time you open your
Destiny,
mouth to talk about the Trump administration, bro.
please.
Sorry. My bad.
Okay, just real
This
quick.
retarded.
To Drew, though, you understand you are here to represent a position, correct?
Yeah, his personal
and
opinion,
we-
his
we-
personal position.
represent-
We
Decide.
What he
our
personally would
position is
do.
a sort of my personal position is a moderate conservative or a moderate Trump position. It's not necessarily agreeing with everything that Trump has ever said or done.
We must.
Right, but you're trying to have the I'm not entirely sure. Being not an American, you might lack some of the context of the Insurrection Act. It literally hasn't been involved since the actual Rodney King riots. Right?
As Nicholas said at the start of his debate, he didn't necessarily come here to talk about the Insurrection Act. I just came here mainly to talk about immigration.
No.
Wick, I sent you a video, Wick.
The reason I find the Insurrection Act as a topic uninteresting is that it's so easily answerable, right? That you look at it, you consider the facts for 15 seconds, and you go, no. The Insurrection Act should not be invoked.
Well, I don't think Nicholas.
Nicholas is by necessity. You're making a fool of yourself.
Nicholas is not okay. Nicholas is not necessarily a fair-minded observer here because he literally wrote an article about 6 months ago talking about killing Trump administration officials. So I don't know if Nicholas is going to be the most fair-minded observer when it comes to the question of insurrection and civil unrest in Minnesota.
Wait, is Nick really that based? I didn't know that. Sorry, just kidding. I disavow.
Yeah, that's really funny.
I mean, this is
Destiny. Eventually, Destiny.
I disavowed. Like Donald Trump said, he knows they'll be marching peacefully. I disavow that. I'm just letting you know. I said it. I'm pointing to it. I disavow.
There are other questions. There are people who have questions, and I presume they would want to have
I understand,
answered.
but Destiny wanted me to
get refunds.
And so when I show this clip, I'm assuming you gave me the right timestamp, correct?
I hope so.
Let's watch and find out. So if you want to click on
8 days ago, right?
We can all watch together. Everyone's good. Everyone on there. Hope so. Hold on.
Okay.
Why is this? Oh yeah. Hold on.
Oh my gosh, Walz! It's unfortunate that Walz is kind of stupid.
We must protest loudly, urgently, but also peacefully. Indeed, as hard as we will fight in the courts and at the ballot box, We cannot and will not let violence prevail. You're angry, I'm angry. Angry is not a strong enough word, but we must remain peaceful. Second.
So does that count?
No, you can go back to what I
You're
said.
a cum sock. A cum sock for Donald Trump. A cum sock. You would import Chinese injections to increase the amount of Trump's loads just so that he could ejaculate that much more into your asshole every time you talk about him. It is pathetic. You are pathetic.
Okay.
I'm happy to let everybody just judge the way everyone's conducted themselves here.
Me too.
Brew Crow for 8-month membership tier 2. Thank you for the 8-month tier 2 membership. Says Destiny just won the debate with a soundboard. $5 from Alishness. Maryland is proposing something called the Icebreaker Act, which could bar ICE agents from local law enforcement jobs in Maryland. W Maryland. Thank you for $5.
Good. No, we should agree to like economically boycott them forever, so that like you continue to be excluded afterwards. Okay. Like no local government, no jobs, no police jobs, no nothing anywhere in the country. That's truly the hope. And let people know about that in advance when they consider joining ICE.
$10 from OG Gamers Puzzle or something. The only actual paid agitators are right-wing media figures and influencers. They make millions of dollars.
That's not a question.
Well, they paid me money. So
I'm sorry. Okay, fair enough.
Okay, $10. You gotta respect the $10. Says literally destroying the country by outrage farming and lying at every turn. I will get to the questions. $2
all he's saying there is that it's completely illegitimate to hold right-wing perspectives. So he's just basically saying that it's illegitimate to have a politically different point of view to the left.
Okay. What terrorist from Odashara? What terrorist group was Renee good in? That's a question.
They already said it earlier. That horrible group that like Ice Watch, I think they take videos of
National Lawyers Guild.
National Lawyers Guild. Holy shit, that's crazy.
To be fair,
I remember reading a report. I think it was 5 years ago. It was like ISIS, I think National Lawyers Guild, and I think it was Al Qaeda in Iraq were like the top 3 terrorist groups that were threats to U.S. freedoms. I think, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
I'm glad they got her. Thank God.
£10 from Riz. What the fuck says if the church process is somehow an attack, do the many historic examples we have of protests disrupting town halls, state legislators, school board sessions, etc., also count as attacks?
A church is not a fucking town hall. That's a pretty retarded statement. A church is a place of worship, and if they want to start saying that place of worship are fair game for attacks, then that's a very horrible road that they want to go down. It's a very horrible road that they want to go down.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that for one thing, there is a difference. Like, if you're bringing your grievances to an actual like seat of policy making, right? That's a much more direct and intended and appropriate use of protest than bringing it to some random church that has people in it that you disagree with.
Wait. Why were they protesting? Why were they protesting that church?
If you disrupt.
Wait. Why were they protesting that church? You said a random church. Wait, why were they protesting?
Why
were they protesting that church? You said a random church. Why were they protesting that church? Wasn't it just one in particular?
The pastor has some. He's alleged to be an ICE agent.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't just a random church, right? Yeah. You just lied when you said that, right? That was a fucking lie, right?
Even if the pastor was,
it's okay. Daddy Trump lies all the time. You can lie too. I just want to be clear. Everybody knows you were just fucking lying when you said that. There you go. There we go. Yeah, that's kind of the opposite of the word random, right? Specific is like the exact opposite of the word random. So you would think that would, but maybe you were just being hyperbolic.
The big thrust of my
would it be justified? This is a good question. Would it be justified if the pastor was allegedly actually an ICE agent?
To protest, I think protesting is fine. I think if they asked them to leave and then they didn't leave,
protesting in the middle of the sermon.
If they asked them to leave and then they didn't leave, then I think that they could arrest them. Sure, or the cops could have come and arrest them. I didn't see that. I watched about an hour, I think, a video of this. I didn't see anybody ask anybody to leave or tell anybody to leave. Maybe they didn't. I just missed it, or maybe it was.
You hadn't heard of it. I thought you said you hadn't heard of it.
I was lying. I was emulating you cocksuckers whenever I asked you about any of the horribly corrupt shit that Trump does, and you seem to have never heard of a single fucking thing of it. That's what I was doing. I was making fun of you.
I personally hated it when Al Qaeda attacked America and disrupted worship services by holding placards and protesting.
Okay,
true.
$5 from Mike Knowers. Nick and Destiny, have you ever had a discussion together? I think you would have. I think you have some mutuals like Ayala and others, and it would be interesting. Well, you guys can get together.
Oh, this is our first time. Okay. Hello, Mr. Bernal.
Hi. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm in my bad behavior today. Okay.
$5 for General Grievous. Drew, ICE has been raiding churches during religious services to profile immigrants. Where's your righteous anger over disruption of religious liberty?
If that's true, I condemn it.
So just to let everyone know, in the 1st of January, maybe not for 21st of January last year, 2025, Trump rescinded a policy from the Biden administration that was in place, putting schools, hospitals, and churches off limits for ICE agents to go into. So last year, Trump did rescind that policy. So,
well, like, do you really think that there should be like this kind of like
safe zone for criminals?
This kind of thing.
Are you serious? They're just going to run to the churches and schools now and hide. They're going to be places of criminality now.
No. I didn't say that. I'm just saying, do you really think it's a good policy to have this kind of standing sort of like off limit zone where
the criminals can just go and hide? That'd be crazy.
No longer applies.
Yeah.
Well, it would probably be good if people didn't disrupt churches, right?
I don't think that churches should be disrupted, but I also think that you can't just have a carve out where automatically some parts of the United States just no longer have immigration law.
What about a carve out where some parts of the United States are just banned from protesting? That is okay, or is it just when it agrees with your politically partisan hack position?
I don't remember I ever said that.
No, I mean, a second ago, Destiny, said that if they were asked to leave and they didn't leave, that they should be arrested. So
yeah, but you don't even know if they were asked to leave because you literally don't know a single detail about any of the fucking things we've spoken about today. So you can't even have a position on it. Well, the position you can have is twerking up and down on Donald Trump's dick. But besides that,
you don't think that they were asked to leave? Okay.
Were they?
5 pounds. Well, yeah. If you have a clip of them being asked to leave, I will play it just like we did the Walz clip. So
I mean, the people like fled the church because they couldn't get away from these people. Like,
maybe they just left because they were annoyed.
Okay.
5 pounds from Riz to say, if the Insurrection Act should be invoked in Minnesota, should it have also been invoked during the actual insurrection on January 6th?
Yeah, that's fine. Again, like I've said, I'm perfectly happy with the idea that like that was illegal and those people should have been stopped from doing what they were doing. Yeah.
Do you think those people should have been shot? Do you think should those people have been shot when they were attacking cops trying to break into the building? You agree that those cops would have had...
one of them was shot, so...
Unfortunately, just one. Yeah, but I'm saying, do you think that they could have shot like a whole bunch of them when they were all trying to break through the lines?
Yeah, I mean, if it were necessary, then sure.
Well, I mean, you keep saying if. So this is an event that actually happened. It's a real event in world history. So do you think those cops had a justification to start shooting when the people were trying to break down the doors or break through? Like hundreds more
I think
people.
The Capitol should have been secured. Yeah.
Do you think that Do you think that the officers had the right to shoot the people that were trying to break down the doors that were attacking them on the front lines? Do you think?
Well, they did. They literally did.
Do you think the officers had a? Do you think the officers had a right to shoot the people? Could they have shot the people and they would have been justified?
They did it.
Could they?
They did it.
Erdogan Jr., can you calm down for a second? The CCP's breaking down your background. Be careful. I see one of the books just fell. Do you think that the Capitol Police had a right to shoot the lines of protesters were trying to break into the building? You would have supported it. Okay. All right. Just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna prioritize the ones that are to Drew because he only has a few more minutes here. $10 from Luke Locomotive. Drew, you called the Minnesota church story the most notable instance of civil unrest. If they had yelled from the sidewalk, it'd be nothing. That's enough for you to let the Fed take up arms against its people?
It's not against the people of Minnesota at large. It's against literal saboteurs and communist activists who are basically directing violence against immigration authorities. So I just reject the entire premise of the question.
Okay.
So it's a little weird to say, like, if they'd done something else, it would have been fine, so therefore it was fine. Like, that was a weird way to frame that.
Well, no, the question was, just to be clear, the question was, do you think that the Minnesota church incident was enough to justify the Insurrection Act on its own, basically?
I didn't say that, and I think there's multiple incidents that point to it. For example, breaking into federal cars and stealing guns from federal agents, etc.
Okay, $10 from the Soy Pill. Thank you for the $10 to say Drew won't mention they were protesting the official who worked with ICE, not religion. These are deeply unserious people, and Wick should be ashamed for humoring them.
Wick getting called the fuck out.
That's retarded. That's retarded.
I feel no shame.
The kids in the church had done nothing, and they were still terrorized. So this is just they're making this retarded argument.
Kids were terrorized.
Also,
Don Lemon said that they clearly
looked like an anti. It was like the point of the protest was like against Christianity or something. I don't think we made that claim. Yeah, I mean, it was an ICE-related protest because the pastor is alleged to be an ICE agent.
Still terrorize innocent people. Don Lemon made it very clear that they looked scared. The kids looked scared. They terrorized
He
innocent
used the word
people.
traumatic, I believe.
Hold on, Nicholas is trying to ask me something. I can't hear what he's saying. Go ahead.
How many questions are there? I want the people to get their money's worth. You know,
There's
I
a
know
lot
you
of
have
questions.
to issue refunds. Okay.
I'm not going
What
to.
if-
No refunds. Again.
What if we all agreed to speak twice as fast and twice as concisely too?
Look, my rule on this, and this is a policy, I guess. It's not really a rule.
I have
If they
said
get
from the
$5,
get-
give them a $5 answer. If they get $50, give them a $50 answer. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Go.
$5 from General
Okay.
Grievous to
People in
say, should
Minneapolis
individuals
do-
not have worn slaves to help evade capture if people were coming to enforce a fugitive?
So illegal immigrants are slaves. Illegal immigrants are slaves. That's retarded.
Comparable.
No, it's not
Comparable.
comparable at all.
Yeah.
You only
Comparable.
think it's comparable because you think that America shouldn't have a border.
Wait, I got
Okay,
another video
so,
clip for you. This is apparently the mayor of Minneapolis after. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
And Nicholas is smirking because he does agree. He doesn't think that America should have a border.
Yeah. Like I said, my ideal world, we lose track of ICE in Manchuria.
Damn. I think the border in the United States is not enforced enough right now because according to Drew, he was just here a while ago, so somebody's fucking up.
Okay, let's watch this real quick.
That's
Click
retarded.
on watch screen, gang. And,
That's actually
All right.
that's beautiful friend enemy distinction politics because he's got a problem with me because I've got conservative political opinions, but he's fine with Somali illegal immigrants. who are
No,
literally
I'm actually, that's not
pedophiles,
true.
rapists,
Do not
massively,
mistake my beliefs.
systematically fraudstering-
You're misstating my beliefs. I'm
massively
actually a
frauding
huge
the
supporter
government.
of hereditarianism, and I just think that we need to be more careful about the IQ level of the genetic stock that we have in this country. And I don't think people like you should be allowed in. You seem like you have very
You would never say
rapist
that. You would
characteristics.
never say that to a
You could
Somali
rape a
immigrant.
white
You would
woman, a
never
high
say
IQ
that.
white woman, and they would give
You
birth
would-
to a retarded Drew child. I don't want these people in my country.
You would literally, you know what's funny? You would never say that to an actual 60 IQ Somali illegal immigrant.
That, yeah, you got me
Which
there.
proves
I
that I'm white.
definitely
That actually
never
that
said any
proves that's
edgy
white.
things about
That
black
proves
people
that
or
I'm white.
Somalis before.
That proves
Absolutely
that I'm
true.
white. That proves that I'm white.
Okay, let's
That
watch
proves that
this
I'm
real
white.
quick so we
Funny.
get back to my money.
I have said from the get-go.
By the way, I did tell you I've got a hard stop at about.
Yep, we're gonna give you an
8
outro
o'clock.
here in 3 minutes. How's that? But let's watch
Okay,
this real quick.
Sounds good.
I have said from the get-go to people in Minneapolis, do not take the bait. We are better than that. I have encouraged peaceful protest, and I am inspired by the tens of thousands of people who have in fact peacefully protested and fairly documented with transparency what is taking place. That is allowed in any city in the country. And I have made it clear that to the extent people are going beyond that, and those protests are not peaceful, and the violence that the chief mentioned, it's got to stop, and you got to go home.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing I said before. He did not say, not only did he not say don't interfere with federal law enforcement, he tacitly endorsed them by saying all these thousands of people that I've seen like doing something that I approve of. So yeah, he
Okay, so then just curious, just check for consistency here. When Donald Trump tweeted out, you guys need to remain peaceful at the Capitol after they'd already broken in, that was Donald Trump encouraging and supporting the violence that was happening at the Capitol, right?
We both condemned January 6th.
I didn't ask that.
Yeah,
That's not what I asked. Why do you
condemn
generalize it? Drew, please. I understand that in your, accelerated learning classes or whatever they do for disability people down there. Okay, this is just a normal conversation. I'm just asking for people that are fluent in English and can understand kind of like
Tessie, you've
higher than
literally
like
never read
grade
a book
one
in your life.
concepts.
You've
Higher than
you've
grade one
literally-
concepts.
okay,
So let me go back to answer the question.
tell us
So what I
book
was
you've read.
asking.
Tell us
So I
what
was
book you've read over the
asking.
past 12
I've
years.
read a lot of books
then
on.
You're gonna get an answer. Then you're gonna get to give your outro.
Yeah, what was
and
that?
I'll let
I'm
you
just
go.
curious. Yeah. So
Let's
you
read a
agree?
book in the past
You
year,
just
that'd be great to
you
know.
agree? You agree then that Donald Trump was encouraging and
And
supporting the
Destiny
violence that was
knows how to
happening at the
read.
Capitol, right?
Does Destiny know how to read? It would be a great question to know.
You can't even understand spoken word. Why would I assume you'd be able to read, Drew?
No, you can't read. You demonstrably cannot read. It's a well-known meme. It's a well-known meme where you actually just like basically admit you've never been able to read books.
Drew, you get your outro now. I know you have to go. This has been
No more soundboard.
a shit show. I won't.
Can I
lie.
get an answer to that
Drew-
question? That was a super simple question. Was Donald Trump encouraging violence on the day of when there were already violent rioters inside the Capitol? And he tweeted out, I want you guys to remain peaceful while you protest or whatever.
I'm happy to answer that after Drew goes, by the way,
Yeah.
if he has to go.
Yeah.
And as I've said, I've always condemned January 6th. But anyway, I'll just say I
asked that?
actually
No
thought
one
it was
asked
interesting. I thought it was interesting that we could actually have discussion with Nicholas. The funny thing is that Nicholas is actually far more radical than Destiny, because Nicholas is open that he wants to completely abolish the border, and he's even said before that, you know, members of the Trump administration should be killed. So Nicholas is actually more radical than Destiny.
There are circumstances under which they should be killed.
Okay, well, Nicholas. The funny thing is, Nicholas is. That's the funny thing. Nicholas is actually far more radical.
You said the funny
Destiny,
thing is twice, and you haven't even laughed. Are you lying?
He's gotta go. Let him finish. He's gotta go.
But you can.
We'll be free of
It
him,
is
I
interesting.
promise, but go ahead.
I just think it is interesting that despite the fact that Nicholas is more radical than Destiny, you can actually have a somewhat of a discussion with Nicholas, whereas Destiny was just throwing shit at the wall and just behaving like an ape and just screaming. He was constantly chimping out. He could not even have he couldn't have any intellectual discussion whatsoever, and he started the entire show with a big board behind him that said, "Drew Pavlou, you should hang yourself." So that just showed from the very start that he was not a good faith intellectual interlocutor, and I just think Destiny.
If I really think you should hang yourself, wouldn't that be good faith for me to say it? Wouldn't it be bad faith for me not to?
I think it is actually. I think it's actually a testament to the fact that Destiny is actually genuinely a very disgusting person, and his personal life is just literally filthy and perverted, and I think that is a reflection of his perverted mind.
Oh, the CCP is going to get you for that one. I'm forwarding it to my contact right now.
I appreciate you coming on. I do, and we'll get you.
Destiny, please look after your son. Please, like, literally just call your son.
I'll do it
at some point in the next week.
Xi Lang is DMing me right now. They're coming after you. Be careful. You're going to have to do another fundraiser to scam people on Twitter. Good luck.
Okay, Destiny, I genuinely think you should talk to your own son, because you're actually a 35-year-old man, and your own son is basically
35. I'm actually 37 now, but yeah.
Have to go.
That's even sadder.
Just please remember, for you also, wear a condom, because holy fuck, one of you is worse enough, okay?
Okay, Drew.
Nicholas, you're actually... I mean,
I'm just
Nicholas,
kidding. I'm just kidding. I know you're a virgin anyway. I'm just joking.
Okay, Destiny, you're literally a filthy pervert, and I genuinely hope you talk to your own son at some point in the next couple of weeks. You need to talk to your own son.
I would. We just had a conversation last time, because apparently he beat you in a debate, which is crazy because he's like 14. But I guess that's about where you're at developmentally.
Your son in that debate, your son actually endorsed like killing his own grandmother or something crazy.
Okay, we're not going to bring in
you need to talk to
children. Hold on. I do have a rule.
You need to talk into it.
Things. Okay, Drew, that's not
okay. I do think Destiny needs to talk to his own son, and I do think he needs to fix his perverted personal life. It's disgusting. He is a massive cuck, and it's actually genuinely disgusting.
I get it.
Okay, thank you.
Talk to you later, Drew. Bye-bye.
Please, like, literally look after yourself, Destiny. Please,
I'll donate to your next fundraiser. I'll donate to your next fundraiser. Okay.
Okay. Have fun, Destiny. You're a disgusting person.
All right, wait. So what was the answer to that question? Was Donald Trump supporting the violence?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that calling for peace in and of itself is an endorsement for violence. I told you what kind of statement I would need to see from them to change that view of mine that they support this
okay, but didn't Donald Trump, he had the opportunity to tell people to like stop and go home and everything, and he didn't. So why isn't Donald Trump supporting violence?
He said stand down.
No, that wasn't until after Ashley Babbitt was killed. When there were people that had broken into the Capitol and people were begging Trump to tell him to go home, he just tweeted out, "Stay peaceful." So that's him if these messages that were stronger statements than Trump has ever made, by the way, in his entire life, you will acknowledge that these two statements that the mayor and the governor made, these are stronger statements to peacefully protest than what Donald Trump has ever made before, right?
No, I don't agree with that.
What's one time he's made his better statement?
Totally legitimate.
Yeah, sure. Give me an example of one statement Trump has ever made.
They always do this thing where it's like, pull up from your
have an example. He's always do this thing where he wants an example of what I'm talking about. I just want to fucking live in memes. I know, dude. Eat shit.
Okay. $30, or I'm sorry. Yeah, $30 for Drew or Hunter.
$30.
What's your biggest criticism of Trump? The strongest disagreement you can think of?
I think the tariff policy is really chaotic. I think that a lot of his, like, some of the more economically populist positions he's taken, like the cap on credit card interest rates, the no tax on tip stuff, like that's obviously just like rank populism that has no plausible justification. So yeah.
Okay. $20 from Natiristoa. For Drew and Destiny, why didn't the Democratic Party respond like Trump to the Bundy Farm incident?
The Bundy Farm incident, by the way, you know what this is? Okay. So
no, I'm aware of the farm. I just don't know what the question was.
Bundy and Ammon Bundy. Oh, okay.
Yeah, if they want to clarify, they can, but that's what they asked. Okay. $20 from Breadbox. Wick, please set the bar for Destiny in relation to his behavior here. Many of us have either continued to increase the value of our liberal views with his perspective. His excessive insincerity has cost us libs an easy win here. Thank you for the $20.
I'd agree with that. I think, and by the way, as a general rule, anyone who wants to comment on politics should spend 3 to 4 hours a day reading economic papers and becoming conversant in the literature, because otherwise, you don't have anything to say, about what optimal policy should be. But I think that the ideal way to figure out what we should do is figure out the bare minimum principles of what we're trying to maximize, and then learn how you maximize those. And that requires a lot of actually learning about the world. So
That's actually an interesting topic, the sort of meta issue there that I'd be happy to talk to you about. To what extent that sort of approach will or will not produce useful outcomes. But we can talk about that another time. Maybe.
Okay. Let's get. I'm looking for the questions here. The Bongo Beat for $10 says, to the morons I don't care to learn the names of. When you cherry pick your words,
well, that could be any of us.
I know it could be any of us. Abuse the language, the English language, to distort every single thing. Why do you expect any level of respect? And I guess that's to all of us. So.
I don't know that I expect anything.
Okay. 10 Canadian dollars, unfortunately, from Sithari for glasses. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit held that a man holding a sign up on a public road saying cops ahead is free speech in 2023. So it's not interference to blow whistles.
Okay, I disagree with that ruling.
Okay.
But
$10.
it is the law.
Oh, go ahead.
Unless there have been further rulings since then.
Highly doubtful. But I'm not a lawyer. Sorry. I kind of am somewhat with Hunter on this, in that I generally don't. I try and stay away from what is the state of the law. I want to think about what should the law be.
I think it's better to talk about what the law is, except for when the law disagrees with you. Then I talk about what the law should be, unless that's too difficult to think up. So then I just say what I personally would prefer it to be, and I refuse to answer for any of the other political figures that I generally defend wholeheartedly.
Actually, I agree with Decker's position that it's much more productive for us to, since none of us are lawyers, to just talk about what policies we actually want. And that would have been the conversation I would have liked to have with Nick.
True.
But, yeah.
I agree, because law's boring and lame.
Okay. Anybody else with?
Oh, again, we got a lot, so I'm making good money here. But $10 from Doom Spiral. How do we know that the violent ICE agent attacks aren't actually Antifa infiltrators?
True.
We should investigate all of ICE for being part of a domestic terrorist organization and traitors, just in case.
I still don't know why we never got the fucking autopsy for Charlie Kirk. Tim Pool tweeted out he was stable. He dies. I saw Kirk leading up to the shooting. The guy looked like he was a little bit zoinked out. I don't know what his blood levels were for any particular drug. I just think it's crazy we didn't see the results of that, but that's just me.
Okay. $10 from Dave Ovick. How does he want to get ICE agent economically barred? And this is to you, Nicholas. When even post-World War II, Germany couldn't get every mid and low-level Nazi party member barred. What strategy do you use that they didn't? Honest question.
That's a tough question. Actually implementing it is hard, and it's quite possible that there's not the public will. How I see the ICE protests are as the point of them is to sway public opinion against ICE, right? Because I think eventually there's a very high chance that they are essentially used as a private army. At least they are the means through which Trump would have a private army. And so it's important that they shatter their own reputation and that the people are totally against them, and that they don't see ICE as human, that they are not restrained in fighting back. And so that's why I think like following reporting on ICE and allowing them to behave thuggishly, but responding peacefully is so important. I see them as basically, our Basij, right? Our brown shirts. And eventually we might have to go to war with them. But anyway, I think that if there is sufficient public condemnation of it, then we are totally able to do it when it comes to barring them or other measures. And I think that local governments would totally be able, especially in liberal polities, would be totally able to just ban them from all employment.
Okay, $5 from Word to the Wise. I want to know from the people pearl clutching over the church attack. How do they feel about religious people attacking Planned Parenthood?
I mean, I'm completely against that. I'm actually pro-choice anyway, if that were relevant, which it really isn't. But yeah, I mean, I think sometimes the statutes against this have been stretched to the breaking point to, arrest people who are just silently praying outside abortion clinics or something. But to the extent that anyone engages in violence or even significantly harasses the people seeking a legal service, then yeah, I absolutely condemn that, and those people should be arrested.
Just curious, can you name a single event where somebody was arrested for silently praying outside of an abortion clinic? That was a rhetorical question. I know the answer is no. I know. It's all good. Based.
Okay, $5 from I Killed Earl. Poor Earl. When did Don't Tread on Me turn into Don't Trigger My Cognitive Dissonance? MAGA turned into government bootlickers in a skinny minute.
Okay, that's not really a question, but
it was based, though.
It has a question mark. I'm reading it. Okay.
I heard bootlicker, so it's probably based.
$50 from Alishness. Thank you for $50. They didn't attack the church because they were Christian. They went to the church because the pastor was an ICE officer, allegedly. What a stupid fucking point to make. Don Lemon isn't even anti-Christian. Why make such a brain-dead point? Question mark.
Isn't he gay?
Don Lemon is gay, I believe.
It's kind of anti-Christian, no?
Matters, but...
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to head out in a bit, by the way.
Do you want to tell people where they can find you, all that? And we can kind of close it up here.
So my best work is at nicholasdecker.substack.com. That's my name, .substack.com. Today, I have a comprehensive, if pocket-sized primer on markup estimation from both the demand and the supply side, and some recent exciting work on doing markup estimation from the demand side at scale. So the problem historically is that if you're estimating demand curves, right, you're going to need detailed you need two things. You need detailed cost shifters and other forms of instrumental variation in order to trace out demand curves. And you also need a conduct assumption, which might not be portable from industry to industry. Conduct, by the way, is just the way in which firms compete. Do they set quantities and prices? Do they set prices and quantity? Are they colluding, et cetera, right? And so there has been, and so this means that prior demand side work estimating the markup has been industry by industry, and it takes a lot of work. Now there's been some recent papers like trying to do this at scale with different simplifying assumptions, but hopefully you can have multiple different simplifying assumptions and then compare to the supply side estimates, right? Which is where you estimate a production function and the markup is equal to the elasticity of output with respect to some input divided by the elasticity of revenue paid to that input. But unfortunately, the assumptions there are just way too strong. They're not usable. So anyway, you can read all about that, or also, why we should kill the Trump administration there, I suppose. I got to pander a bit. And you can also find my tweets at Captgouda, CAPTGOUDA24. That's all.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you. So here's what's going to happen. I have people who want to call in, and that's fine, but I know you both may need to go, and I do have more super chats to read. So I want to give both of you a chance to have outros, final thoughts, final statements. Destiny, do you have anything to say?
I'm like this whole administration, all the people surrounding it are just deeply unserious people. They have no factual engagement with what's actually happening in the real world. Sometimes they want to talk facts if they feel like the facts are on their side. Then they want to talk theory when they don't want to address the facts. And it's a collection of deeply unserious people. The only thing that's more upsetting than dealing with them now is going to be dealing with them in 3 or 4 years when they pretend that they never really supported this administration, when all of them saw that the Trump admin was, there were a whole bunch of red flags and they were never fully on board with it. You already see it kind of today when none of these people will actually admit how much they're throating Trump and his entire cabinet on Twitter, because as soon as you get into a conversation where they have to defend the indefensible, they immediately wheel out this, well, I'm not always supporting Trump and I'm not fully MAGA. And it's a super unserious world. And it's kind of like it's memes and it's funny jokes and everything online, I guess, because it's just, we're at the end of the day, we're just debating who the fuck cares. But it's pretty sad to watch the country like take this insane authoritarian slide against a group of people that used to scream about how important Second Amendment rights and states' rights are.
Okay, Hunter, Ash, do you have final thoughts for the closing statements and things like that? And then if you guys want to stay, you can, but you can go if you like. But go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So first, I just wanted to issue a mea culpa on a specific point. I took a few minutes to look up abortion clinic cases, and while there are some that would fit the description I provided in the UK, all the ones in the US that I found, I thought they were good arrests and the charges were reasonable. So, fair there. Yeah, just in general, I would say that I think that this could have been a really interesting conversation, mostly between me and Decker, and it's a shame that didn't get to happen, but maybe we'll get to talk in the future. So, yeah.
Okay, well, I do appreciate you coming, and if you want a more, I guess, narrow, tailored guest list, let me know in the future, but I do appreciate that. We have some callers if you guys want to stay for a couple of those. Is that okay?
I actually have to go. Sorry.
I understand.
I'll hang out with you,
Have a
Wick.
great day. Okay,
All right,
well,
cheers,
thank you,
Wick.
definitely. I appreciate it. Bye-bye, Hunter. We'll see you later.
You're a scum as fuck, Hunter. Don't ever forget it.
Thanks, man.
Jesus Christ.
No, take me to your room. I'm murdering